Good evening. Our audio is back in business. Good. Okay. This is the Dania Beach City Commission regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 27th, 2019. It is 7:05 p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Mayor Llewellyn.
Here.
Vice Mayor Odman.
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
City Manager Garcia.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And if we could please have a moment of silence, in particular for the victims of the shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. Thank you. Next, we have presentations and special event approvals. The first item is a presentation on Olson Middle School Magnet Program. It was supposed to be by Principal Valerie Harris, but I understand she has a stand-in tonight. Please provide us all with your name as well and your position.
Good evening. My name is Michael Friedel. I am the Magnet Coordinator at Awesome Olson Middle School. I have some material for you guys if I can approach quickly.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a PowerPoint presentation. It's quick. I don't know if we want to set that up or not. We don't have to.
We try to limit our presentations to less than 15 minutes, so.
No, that's,
Okay.
I'll be out of here in 5.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the first year that Olson Middle School is a magnet school. It is a full magnet for all students. We are a beneficiary of a federal grant called ICANN. The ICANN grant is about careers. It's about teaching students in the middle schools what it takes to learn the disciplines and become what they want to be career or college-wise. So that means helping them work hard when they get to high school and college. One of the points of this grant is to align the middle schools with the high schools, so I want to thank our colleague, Ms. Patricia Brown from South Broward High School that's here this evening. We wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we do now without her. We have 5 academies in Olson Middle School now. We have an Academy of Business, Education. We have the Media and Music Conservatory. We have Hospitality and Tourism, and one for Robotics and Marine Science. What we're trying to do, there are 3 pillars: personalized learning, project-based learning, and equity. So everything that we're doing is about giving students hands-on experiences that hopefully they can produce something they can take home. We call them artifacts that they can be proud of in the future and show off and keep throughout their educational career. We are also currently offering high school credit for many middle school students, and this is kind of an attractive option for students that are looking for more of a challenge or, just are not happy or challenged enough with the middle school curriculum. One of the main programs that we have that we're working on right now is the Science Olympiad. Currently, that is where we're partnered with South Broward High School. We have 2 groups of students from Olson Middle School that go to South Broward High School every single day to get instruction from the high school, in the high school environment, and hopefully compete at a high level in the Science Olympiad. We are also part of the Global Scholars Project, which is about connecting students to the cities that they live in, and it's a curriculum dedicated to being a good citizen and having a productive life of dignity. We are also heavily involved in robotics and coding. We're trying to teach students real-world skills that they'll be interested in keeping up with in the future. that's pretty much where we are right now. I'd really like to return at the end of the calendar year and show you all the things that we have going on. Right now, we're forming a raw ball of clay, and hopefully it'll be a fine statue by the end of the year. And if you guys have any questions for me, I'll take them now, and if not, I will yield my time. I know you have a full agenda this evening.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Our next item, go ahead, clap. Our next item is a special presentation from the 2019 U.S. Conference of Mayors by Commissioner Harris.
When we were at the conference, which was an excellent conference, there was a particular video that they showed that I wanted to share with all of you because I think the lesson is very important. So it's 3 minutes and 6 seconds long. Watch it carefully, and I'll make some comments on the other side when we're done. So, Joe, take it away. You know what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, aloha. I'm here in short to discuss with you a problem which is not local but national, not northern or southern, eastern or western, but a national problem, a national challenge, a problem and challenge and responsibility and opportunity. The Supreme Court has made it clear beyond dispute that no local ordinance requiring segregation is constitutional. But the final responsibility after such legislation is enacted will rest with you as mayors on the local level. It is clear to me that the time for token moves and talk is past, that these rights are going to be won, and that it's our responsibility, yours and mine, to see that they're won in a peaceful and constructive way, and not won in the streets. The amalgamation of all these urban development problems, I believe, can be most effectively maintained by the creation of a new cabinet post to concern ourselves with life in the city. Federal action, including additional federal legislation, can help, and I think state action can help. But in the last analysis, what happens in Birmingham or Chicago or Los Angeles or Atlanta depends in large measure upon the leadership of those communities. We will back you up. We will work with you in every way possible. But the mayor of every metropolitan city, in every section of America, must be aware of the difficult challenges he now faces. My fellow chief executives, may I say this: the improvement of race relations and the fulfillment of human rights is a continuing problem and continuing challenge. I do not propose to limit our mutual concern to one brief address. I hope to meet with many of you in the White House in the near future. I must say I was impressed by the willingness of so many mayors to move ahead in this area. I ask that you act with wisdom and foresight in these matters, not merely to maintain the luster of American ideals, not merely for the peace of our country, but for the good of your own community.
So it's very moving as I saw everybody looking at the screen, but I wrote myself down some notes here just to make sure that I want to explain about what it meant to us when we were there and what it means to me personally. It's for elected officials and about being on the right side of history when the hard decisions are made. It's about the role of municipal governments, which is the government closest to the people. That's why I got involved 11 years ago in serving the community. It's about the elected officials' immense responsibility in making the decisions that will affect our lives for the next 25, 30, or 40 years. Those decisions will include equality and opportunities for all of all areas of Dania Beach, all ages, young and old, all colors, all nationalities, all people. We must know that all the decisions that we make are not easy. But being an elected official is not always easy. We have to listen to the people and to the residents. Challenges and opportunities for all cities, as they explained in the video. Unity in the community, that's what we strive to do. This is about leadership in our communities and mayors and commissioners, and we want everyone to get a chance to have a better life. There are difficult challenges ahead of us as we move forward towards the greater good and equality now and in the future. Our future is bright and our mission is clear, and I will always do my part. And as the oldest city in Broward that runs from the beach to 441, we have to do our best to make the decisions that benefit everyone to make our city and our world a better place, the place we love and the place we call home. So just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
If anybody would like to have a copy of that video, I'll be happy to email it to you. I got special permission from Brian Barnett, who's the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I'll be happy to share it with anyone because I think it's beautiful, as Chicky said.
It was very inspiring, really is. Our next item is a proclamation, St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church's 111th anniversary. I just want to say the city is 115 years old this year, and St. Ruth has been here almost as long as the city. And both Commissioner James and I were in attendance last weekend not this past weekend, the weekend before, at the anniversary celebration at the church. And as always, it was lovely. So with that, I will read the proclamation. Whereas St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church is the oldest African-American church in Dania Beach, which is the oldest city in Broward County, and celebrated its 111th anniversary August 18, 2019. And whereas St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church was organized in 1908 by Brother Charlie Chambers and a few other faithful souls in Modelo, Florida, now known as Dania Beach, Brother Chambers named the church in honor of his daughter Ruth. And whereas the first place of worship was a small house on Northwest 4th Avenue under the leadership of Reverend Watson. The first sanctuary was constructed from lumber recovered from the Atlantic Front, now known as Dania Beach. And whereas the sanctuary was moved from Northwest 4th Avenue to Northwest 5th Avenue and 2nd Street in 1920. A hurricane destroyed all but the floor of the sanctuary in 1926. However, the members continued to hold worship services on the floor, and shortly afterwards the church was rebuilt. And whereas from 1908 to 2019, St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church has had 13 pastors. And whereas Reverend W.C. Edgar became the 8th pastor of St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church in 1948, and under his leadership, construction of a new sanctuary was completed in 1957. During Pastor Edgar's tenure, the church acquired 3 real estate properties, elected its first female to the Board of Trustees, organized 14 auxiliaries, added Vacation Bible School, Women's Day, Men's Day, Youth Day, and Youth Revival to the church's worship services. Other accomplishments include the addition of an educational building and library to the sanctuary in the late 1960s. Reverend W.C. Edgar was the pastor of St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church for 44 years. And whereas Bishop Victor T. Curry, the 11th pastor of the St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church, initiated the Take the City for Christ tent crusade in Dania Beach, the Vision Day workshop at Attucks Middle School, the renaming of the youth department, the renaming of the new members orientation class, the adoption of the church slogan and mission statement, the JWS Cancer Ministry that recognizes cancer survivors, the organization of the Stewardship Ministry that started the Hope for the Holidays program that provides clothing, toys, and food for many families, and the initiation of the Gideon 300 program. Whereas in 2019, Dr. G. Emerson Scott will become the 14th preacher to pastor the St. Ruth's Missionary Baptist Church since 1908. He was just elected this weekend, and I believe he's doing his first service next Sunday. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission, I, Lori Llewellyn, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do hereby recognize St. Ruth Missionary Baptist Church on their 111th anniversary. And I believe Albert Jones is here to accept the proclamation. I don't know if you have anybody else with you.
I don't know if
Thanks again. Let me just say this. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Again, want to thank you, Mayor and Commissioner James, for being at our service, 111 years. I want to let you know that, hey, I was baptized in the Dania Cutoff Canal because we used to walk down there and having our services and baptisms there before we had a little pool in the church where you can be baptized. So go back a long ways as far as this church and some of the history, and certainly with this city, just think that, you know, we're plumb pleasing proud to have this proclamation. And certainly the pastor is here, but he drove from Houston, Texas here, and I'm quite sure he's a bit fatigued. So therefore, he won't be here tonight. But anyway, we accept this on behalf of St. Louis Missionary Baptist Church and Bishop Dr. G. Scott. We thank you. He is the 14th pastor, and we certainly looking forward to hearing his first Bible study this Wednesday at 7 p.m. at St. Ruth. And then the service will be this Sunday, which will be the first Sunday, Communion Sunday. Again, we thank you, Commissioners, Mayor, City of Dania Beach.
Deacon Jones, will you come up for a picture? Picture? No,
Not like that? Well, I'll come here.
You remember the way up there? Get up there, Mayor. Hide the gap.
Open it up.
Thank you.
Our next item is citizen comments. Vivek Golakari. Hang on. I know you know the drill, but please state your name and address, and it'll be limited to 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Vivek Golikari, 301 Southeast 3rd Street, Dania Beach. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to speak about the need for enhanced security at transit places, bus stops, train stops, etc. Most of you have cars and don't see what is going on in the streets. There's a lot of mischief going on, trashing, urinating, people harassing others. I'm going to write to Governor DeSantis about the need for new enhanced legislation that people who take advantage of people in vulnerable spots will get extra punishment. For example, two people punch each other, well, somebody punches somebody, that's a crime, okay. But if a motorist uses a car to harass a pedestrian, that's a vulnerable situation. Only today I was on the phone with a police officer because a week ago, one guy threw a rock at me and called me all kinds of racial slurs, made comments about my mother. Now I don't want to make this about me. It's being taken care of. But there are so many unreported cases of people behaving out of control at bus stops, trains, and so on. I request that that enforcement be stepped up, that more people be arrested for disorderly conduct and made an example of. And meanwhile, I'm going to write to Governor DeSantis and ask for new policies and new legislation, because this cannot be handled purely at a local level. It has to be done at a Florida level. Thank you, God bless, and it's a privilege to be here.
Thank you, Vic. Next is Terrence McElroy. Brother Mac, yes.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm not sure the drill, but I am Brother Mac, Terrence McElroy, Lighthouse Community Church. I only have a few minutes, but I really want to comment on Mr. Harris's video. I called Commissioner here while all of you were up there, and I do understand how busy it is and how each of us have a part. And as we teach in biblical terms, just like my hand can't tell the foot, I don't need you. And so we're all here together trying to work for the betterment of Dania Beach. So I want to say thank you for what you did. It did take me back to a few things that were said, and I don't want to take up the time there. But what I am here for tonight is to say that I was here a few months ago, and was talking about the Lighthouse Community Church Adopt a School Mentoring Program. So I'm just here to give a final report on what happened during the school year of 2018-2019. We were very successful. We won an award for Mentoring Program of the Year for Broward County. I did say that the last time. But out of 153 students that we mentored to this year, 150 had better grades and passed to the next level. So we always say it takes a community, but it also takes a few people that have heart and want to give back to the communities. I met some wonderful people just talking, waiting for this meeting to start. But I really want to say that and remind some people that here's a program going on in Dania Beach community that is highly successful. And people say, well, how do we do it? It's data driven. And I know Olson Middle, I think they left already, but we're partners with Olson Middle also this year. So we're at Dania Elementary, Olson Middle, Pines Middle, and we're also extending straight up to South Broward High School. So we're looking to do better, and when I say that we have an effective mentoring rate of 97%, that we only lost 3 children who did not pass to the next grade. And we're looking to do better. We went from 2017-18 to 90%. 18 to year 2019, we're up to 97% success. And we know that mentoring makes a difference. A child is less likely to use drugs, less likely to have police contact, and more likely to dream bigger. So we're here just to let everyone else here, maybe these people out here in the audience may not know, there's a program that's working in Dania Elementary, Pines Middle, and Olson Middle. And we expect to see our numbers increase. So we just want to say thank you, first of all, for your support. I know I've been calling and trying to get on everybody's agenda, and I'm thankful that I got a chance to see the Vice Mayor and some others. What we are trying to do is look for mentors. We said this the last time, and this goes out, being as I'm an ex-warden, and I remembered, there's got to be light duty officers or someone in different departments that although they can't do the work full or carry a weapon or drive the fire truck, if they're on light duty, maybe they could mentor. Maybe they could help us out. And so we're asking for not just your help, but everyone that's standing behind me, that there's some people out here that I'm sure got a heart. You can contact Lighthouse Community Church. Our website is lighthousecc.org to find out exactly what we're doing and where we're going. Just want to say thank you, love you. I expect to see you, the rest of you commissioners, soon. Now, I've said what we've done, and I believe that we're going to be more successful this year. But I'm also appealing to those, especially those in the community behind me. Some of these suit and tie guys that have made it. There's some other people who didn't make it. And so we're trying to get our community together and our business leaders to say, listen, we can help, we can pitch in. And that's all I want to say. We're doing good. I ain't asking for nothing but mentors. Anybody got any questions?
Commissioner Brandon Marty.
Yes. I want to extend to you an invitation for September the 5th to the Dania Beach Senior Citizen Club, and we are a very large club, here at IT Parker and Pitch. I want you to come there.
We're free. Our program doesn't start till October 1st. We start at Dania Elementary on the 1st and the other schools on the 2nd. I'll be there, no problem. I'll make sure I reach out to you or someone will reach me, and we're here because we need to spread the word, and we need to be able to talk to other people in the Dania Beach community, because it's not just us. And we're talking about children, and we've said this before, children are our future. And if we don't start recognizing that these kids need help, and I was telling somebody, it's okay that you learn to tie a tie. It's okay that you learn to do etiquette. But if you can't do 2 times 2 or 3 times 3, and we have children in the system in the 6th grade who cannot do this. So we're here as a help, to help the families, to help you as commissioners, to help Dania Beach to be a better place academically. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Any
for
other
being
questions?
here.
Commissioner
How about you?
James.
Yes, as I told John the mailman, as I know him, and I'll tell you again, I'll volunteer a day to come be a mentor at the schools if you need me. So you have my information, just contact me.
Yes, and for those in the audience, we are in schools during the lunch hours and gym time, and we have an after-school program, which runs from 5:30 to 7:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we, hopefully, if you need any information, I have cards, I have brochures. Thank you for my 6 minutes. I think I took more than that.
It's okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you. Sean DeRosa.
Good evening. Sean DeRosa, 408 Southeast 5th Street. We were here a couple of months ago as a town hall meeting to discuss the epidemic of and the impact on our quality of life due to the short-term rental situation, Airbnb. This past weekend, 2 nights in a row, 2 days in a row, there was noise violations. And thank you, Mrs. Garcia. Thank you, Commissioner James, for getting involved. I just wanted to remind you all that I know Commissioner James said, where do we go from here, when we all met 2 months ago? And I think we still should all get together to talk about, how can we enforce our ordinance firmly and diligently. For example, it's my understanding the multi-time repeat violator at 402 Southeast 5th Street may have just paid a $10,000 fine, but I thought it was up to $50,000, so I don't know why they were given a significant break. But that would be 1 strike against them. With these 2 noise incidents violations, if Chief Daniel Marks turned them into code, that would be 3 strikes. And I believe our noise ordinance may be 3 strikes within 12 months, the license is revoked. So I think that needs to be diligently enforced. Another thing is how do we enforce the occupancy limit? Where does the probable cause come into play where we verify occupancy? Because we do have an occupancy clause within our ordinance. How do we verify length of stay? Within our ordinance, I believe, Mr. Ansbro, it's you can't have a short-term rental less than 5 days. I would say 90% of the folks that are showing up next door to me are 2 nights, 3 days. 2 days and 3 days. So how is this all going to be verified? And as Commissioner James brought up, am I supposed to be the tattletale coming to you all? I mean, how is this all going to be verified? If these are going to quasi-judicial matters, is discovery involved where I could be subpoenaed and you want affidavits from me or testimony, which I'm willing to stick my neck out because I want to get this under control. But I just wanted to come before you and please remind you that can we please all come together again to look at this. I know Vice Mayor Oden, you had mentioned when you go on the code complaint website, it's very hard to file a complaint, and that you thought it should be a little bit more friendlier to, to click on that. So I appreciate your time, and I please ask you that, can we all come together to diligently enforce that ordinance and possibly broaden our noise ordinance a little bit more so you can enforce it easier. Thank you.
Commissioner Brandon
Sean, the other night when really?
Day and night.
Yeah, no kidding. They don't know the difference between day and night because they go from day straight into night. I forwarded that horrible, horrible stuff to our police department because I myself wouldn't even drive over there nor go there. Those people rent the places. They could be a pedophile. They are not screened. And the people that own those houses don't even live in this town. Do you understand? I was the one that went and brought the man to come here for that meeting, Mr. Binzer. And still I don't see anything that's advancing towards protecting our residents. I don't know if BSO responded to what I sent or not, but they are terrible. They're awful, and they're not regulated in any way that I would want to live next door to them. I don't know who the crazy person is going in there or coming out. And yes, they are staying overnight, and I even have one in my complex, and I've told you this story over and over. Even though I gave this name, showed the bedroom furniture, showed the kitchen furniture, showed the name of my building there, showed what the address was, brought it to the board of condos. They will not spend the condo owners' money, Sean, you know where I live because I live by you, to get them out of there. Now, that's the most pitiful thing in the world. And if it wasn't for Mr. LaFerrier, I wouldn't have even, and God bless him, I didn't even know that this was going on 2 buildings away from me. But they will not spend the money to do anything about it. And that is still listed on the Airbnbs. So to me, it seems like it's a losing battle. I beg for them to put up rules and regulations in those houses. I beg that they have a manager that you can pick up the phone and call the manager and say, look, I got a problem here. Even before you call BSO, then call BSO. Nothing's being done. I don't even know if the fire department, God bless them, have gone into the house to check to be sure that there's some kind of protection for the people that are renting those places illegally. I have a man on Sterling Street. You know what he did? He put in his garage door a slot so that the new people that sent him the check in his country can just throw the check through the slot. And he can come whenever he wants because he locks the door from the garage to the kitchen right now. Then picks up the checks. He could pick it up in 3 months from now. Look at all the money he's getting. 4 months from now. He don't have to go there at all. That's all I got on that one. I'm nowhere with it as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think the city is either.
Vice Mayor?
I'll be brief. Sean, I would ask that, to what you said, to continue to do what you've been doing, which is sending us the emails. And I would say in response to some of the things you said, about knowing the occupancy, that's tricky, right? But for some of the things with the noise ordinance, at our last meeting, we just passed a new noise ordinance. In terms of reporting, we have some tricks up our sleeve, and there's some things that we're going to be doing to make reporting a lot easier. Tightening up the regulation or adding some things to what the people who have the Airbnbs need to have. I think that's going to be changing a little bit, that you're going to be seeing. So my request would just be to keep doing what you're doing. Know that we appreciate the emails and that we are working on it. And I think that over time, and I don't mean a tremendous amount of time, I mean like within the next 6 months, you'll definitely see our game tightening up and our ability to sort of crack down on it to the extent that we can as a municipality will really improve. So thank you for hanging in there with us.
But note also, it's hard to regulate them.
Okay, thank you.
They're not on our side.
Right to your Congress people and your state representatives.
Thank you.
State representatives. It's state regulated, state representatives.
Yep.
Gunnar Magliocca,
Disgusting.
Patriots fan?
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to just say a few words about this new project that's being proposed tonight. I wish we could have had the comments after so that we could hear about it. I don't think anybody's really heard much about it other than these two press releases that were released. The Miami Herald dropped one today at like 3 o'clock, and then the CRA was touting one around on Facebook. So it smells fishy to me. I'm not sure who on the board, if anyone, is colluding. I know those are some serious accusations to lob around with getting this project pushed through, but I can tell you nobody sitting behind me here is for it. None of these citizens are for it. Nobody wants 2,400 more citizens. Nobody wants 4,800 more cars. Our roads can't handle it. I'm sure our fire department can't handle it. And what does it also say in there? It also says they want to make this workforce housing. Well, I'm not buying it, and neither is anybody else. They want to put low-income housing there. We know what happens when you bring in low-income housing. It destroys this city. So I hope somebody puts a stop to this. It's a complete disaster. It's a piece of garbage. The citizens were never made aware of it. And I move to have it all thrown out. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you, Gunnar. Next item is public safety reports.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. On August 9th, we had our inaugural fishing excursion. It was a great day. First time we did it, but it went off without a hitch. We had Parks and Rec bring some of our teens to Boaters Park, where we got to fish with the teens and interact with them, and it was just really neat for everybody involved. The fire chief brought over some of his firefighters, and we all baited hooks and taught the teens about fishing. This event was fully sponsored. It didn't cost the city a dime. It was beautiful. Our business partners at Bass Pro Shops, Anglers, Dusky Marine, and PDQ catered the whole event for everybody. So we're looking, after we talked about the success of the event and how good it went, and how much the children liked it, we want to put together maybe another event, and then maybe a Christmas break type camp when the kids are out of school, and then take it from there and make the event bigger and bigger. Last week, a code red went out. It was an alert that we received from another city, and it was in reference to suspects that were dressed rather nice, holding clipboards. They had fake state identification cards, and they were going around checking people's IDs, saying it was for the next election. That's totally false. Nobody's going around checking IDs. It hasn't happened in our city, but we wanted to get that out to make sure that nobody falls victim to anything like that, and they would contact us immediately. So we put that out as just awareness. As I said, it has not happened here, and we just want to make sure that it doesn't. The one recent one I heard was the Department of Home Affairs. There's nobody going around checking licenses for elections, but what these people were doing was, as soon as they'd go get their license, they'd break into the home and rob the house. So anything suspicious, please call us. It's not going on here. We just want to make sure that it doesn't. And anybody that's ever thinking about doing it, we get them before that happens. School's back in session. Be mindful of the school zones. We have deputies around them for a good part of the day, and we are writing citations for that. Our schools in Dania all conducted their code red drills and fire drills, and they've gone off without a hitch. That completes my report.
Commissioner James.
Yes, thank you, Captain Marks. I've received a letter, and before you just said that, it slipped my mind to send it to the manager, but what happens, or is it against the law when a neighbor is writing or pretending to be city staff and is not on any type of letterhead, but is basically pretending that we're sending a complaint in against these people, but I know this didn't come from us. Do we give that to you to
Yes.
follow up on it? Okay, so I'll send this to you.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Danny, this board just came back from 5 days of school in Orlando, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially after what you just reported, because they are wanting us to even get residents within our city to do the census. They're going to come with credentials, they're going to knock on the door, they're going to ask you how many people's living in this house. I wonder what's going to happen then, because it's similar to the scam that you were just talking about. Are our residents going to slam the door in their face? Because we're taught by you not to open up the door for anyone. Am I right?
Correct.
How's that
No-
going to work with the census? It sounds like the same problem.
If you have any doubt in your mind, call us, we'll come out and verify it.
All right. But you see where it is exactly the same as that other
Sure.
scam. It's going to be a big problem, and we need every person counted, because that's how we are given money. And we can't afford to have seniors looking through the hole, not recognizing the person and not opening the door, because that's what I tell them not to do, and so do you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all.
I have two things briefly. One, again, I want to thank you all for putting on that event for the kids. It was fantastic. I know Commissioner James was stopped in as well. I stopped in. It was, the kids were, when I went, they were exhausted. I think you were there earlier when they were still fishing, and I think your son was there, and yeah. So they looked like they all had a great time, and they were exhausted by the end of it, which was also good. So, so it was a good event. I like to see more of that happening. And that was a variety of ages too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there was all
Yes.
ages there.
It was
so-
a great event. Parks and Rec even put a
Yeah.
lifeguard out there for safety. It was just great all the way around.
It was really good. I was glad to see that. I'd like to see more of that. The other thing I want to say is I want to say thank you also. A couple of weeks ago, we had a little incident, a little scare that took place that was not really heavily publicized, but we had an incident with an individual who walked into one of our churches and made some vague threats, and I was made aware of it. I think some of the other board members were made aware of it, and I know that Broward Sheriff's Office and Chief Marks and your deputies, and I think some deputies from some other cities jumped into action.
Yes.
And made sure that there was extra security around at all the churches and in the neighborhoods, making sure that there was enough coverage to keep people safe. So I wanted to say thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think
Thank
that the pastors appreciated it. I think that the people, the parishioners appreciated it as well. And I know it turned out to be basically nothing, but you never know in these times.
Absolutely.
And I know I have reached out to you about this, and I want to see if it's something that we can do. I really would like to see us do a joint program with the different religious institutions about some safety ways that they can be safer, and take a look at things that they can do. I know there's some security hardening that needs to be done at a lot of the facilities, but soft targets, I mean, we're going through this right now and all over the country, and I just want to make sure that we're taking the steps we need to take in order for our people who are here to be vigilant and be able to know what to do in case of an emergency.
Correct. We have a crime prevention unit that has been doing active killer training for different churches and schools, and what part of the active killer training is to come in prior to and conduct a security survey. So that's another option we have available to everybody.
Okay, so they can contact you if they want to set
Absolutely.
that up. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Thanks.
Where's our fire chief?
Mayor, Commissioners, like you said, see it, live it, love it, and I'm loving it. My first month on the job, I hit the ground running. I love it. I love the fact that I get to work with a great city manager, the commissioners, trying to talk to you as much as I possibly can. Number
Chief,
one,
I know you're new at this. You need to give your name.
Sergio Pelser, District Chief, Dania Beach. So like I said, I'm very happy to be here, hitting the ground running. I've been trying to go to as many meetings and community events as possible. I tagged along with our police chief and his officers to the inaugural fishing event, went to Five Below, and they did the book bag, and with Ms. Sarunsi appearing there. we trying to just basically get a basic knowledge of what our community needs as far as the response from the fire department, and just making sure that we're out there and getting things done. Working with our 2 stations, making sure that their supplies and everything are in working order, making sure that everything is functioning the way it should be. I did secure through the, help with the city manager and our chief holiness, did secure us a rescue truck, which hopefully you'll be seeing very soon. Been busy attending meetings at the EOC and different staff meetings and budget meetings with our BSO office. And, just the only thing I could tell you is I don't want to bore you with all the things that you already got in your email, but I did happened to come on a call just this past week where basically a rescue was on the way to the hospital and they came upon a house fire. And they jumped right into action. They had a patient in the back of the truck, and 2 guys, the lieutenant that stayed in the truck with the patient that they were taking to the hospital, and 2 guys just jumped in and kept that fire in check. And I think they definitely saved that property and saved a lot of bad things from happening, because this happened to be an apartment building. So I'll give kudos to those guys. I'll give you their names and everything in a follow-up email. But to me, that was just something that we do, and something our city and citizens can be proud of. So.
Commissioner
all I
James?
have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yes, I know this is probably a little training, or you've been here for a very long time, but can you give us the latest on Tropical Storm Dorian and things that may be happening this weekend if the pattern doesn't change?
Well, hopefully the pattern changes, and we're lucky when that, or we just get it becomes a rain event. But we're going to meet along with the city staff tomorrow morning and get ramped up and prepared for it. We have our emergency management plans ready in force, so we'll be ready for you and get you all the information that you need by tomorrow afternoon as far as what we're doing. And hopefully, like I said, it's just a rain event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next is the consent agenda. Do we have any polls? No?
Wait, I do. I just need to find my number. Sorry. 7-3.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 7.3.
Second
I also
it.
need to read the 2 ordinance titles, if I may, before we do that. 711 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 17 entitled Offenses Miscellaneous, Article 13 entitled Prohibitions of Distribution of Plastic Straws, Section 17-134, entitled Prohibition of Plastic Straws of the City Code of Ordinances pertaining to a citywide plastic straw ban, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. It's the first reading of that ordinance. And item 12 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 27 of the City Code of Ordinances by adding Article 5 to Chapter 27, such articles to be entitled Stormwater Regulations relating to the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System Stormwater Program, NPDES program, providing for stormwater management plan requirements, illicit discharge detection, and elimination provisions, prohibition of illegal discharges, material management, and post-construction inspection and enforcement, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, also the first reading of that ordinance.
Do we have a second for the motion? You seconded it. Oh, you did, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
7.3 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the proper city officials to execute a 1-year renewal of the existing agreement with Beach Raker LLC for beach cleaning services, which services shall not exceed an annual total amount of $106,142.40, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I pulled this item just because I had a quick question. A while ago, City Manager, I'd spoken to you about if we had determined if the actual raking was best practice. So from an environmental standpoint, there's some people who say there isn't. Other cities have done composting to save money. There's been a couple of different things that I had learned about. And I had spoken to you about it briefly, and you had mentioned that Director Brown was going to look into it. So what had we gleaned from that? Did we decide to just, what was the results of looking to make sure that we had assessed that and that it was best practice?
I have Director Brown up here to give you a briefing.
Great.
His recommendation was to extend the contract based on the performance and the work that they were doing, but I know that you had looked at several options. You want to, please?
Yes, with Beach Raker right now, I'm sorry, Eric Brown, Parks Director. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, Vice Mayor. With Beach Raker, the best practices of how they drag in the beach is safe as long as we're going out making sure there's no plastic being buried. The problem with a lot of beach raking is the fact that when the seaweed come in, there's a lot of plastic involved inside of the seaweed, and when they bury it, that makes it unsafe. The compost part of it is, and I went and studied what Fort Lauderdale is doing, and it's huge. It's a huge undertaking, and we will look into that in the future. But right now, they're using a site where they're using the compost, and if you get, I don't know, out of your car, you're gonna smell it. So in Hollywood, I also went to Hollywood to visit what they were doing, and their best practices is they're taking it up and they're putting it in the parking lot, which is not best practices for us. So right now, with the small amount of beach that we have, the best practices that we're doing is burying it, but making sure that there's no plastic or anything, a glass being buried is also key to what we're doing right now.
How are they ensuring that there's no plastic? Because that in itself is a tedious aspect of the process from how they've instructed me, like
Right.
how it goes.
Basically, you need someone to follow the tractor as they're turning it, making sure that there's no plastic in there. What we've been doing, we've been blessed, we've had groups that come out weekly and making sure that they go through it and they taking all the plastic out of it. But we are looking into making sure that we can have another staff person where we can follow the beach raker to make sure that we're pulling the plastic out as it's being turned.
My request would be this, that, because the seagrass has become such it's made the news in the past couple of years. It seems that the industry in maintaining it and dealing with it has really become busy. So if we can keep our eye on what the other cities are doing, and I understand it might not make sense for us to get involved in the composting now,
Right.
but I think maybe this is going to be an industry that's going to be changing quickly. And so if we can keep an eye and just see what other cities are doing, and if it makes sense for us, I would really like that.
We will be following suit, thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Director Brown.
Move the item.
Second.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Did you, sorry, City Manager.
Yes, I wanted to take the opportunity to commend our Director of Parks and Recreation because he has developed this fantastic relationship with a group of volunteers that are out there every weekend. So this is monies that we're not spending, and these individuals are out there, and I know he has been out there with his team, to be able to sift through the seaweed. And those relationships are saving the cities a lot of money and are allowing us to really be able to bury that seaweed, but at no additional cost to our city. So I wanted to thank him.
Thank you. Our next item is bids and requests for proposals.
8.1 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, related to a request for proposals, RFP number 19-006, City Center Redevelopment Opportunity Public-Private Partnership, authorizing the city manager to establish a negotiating team to enter into negotiations for a development agreement with Armada Hoffler Properties Capital Group, Dania Beach City Center, LLC, in furtherance of the City Center redevelopment project, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Do we have any sort of a presentation or anything? What do we
I
have?
just wanted to let you know that the executive director for the CRA has informed me that she has a presentation. And I don't know if you wanted the presentation to occur now or after you have discussion. Just wanted to put that on the record.
How long is the presentation, and do you want to do it now?
Good evening, City Commission. Raquel Williams, Executive Director for the Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. We do have two representatives of the Evaluation Committee for the City Center project that are prepared to introduce the developers that have proposed and that have been ranked number one. And so we've allocated about 5 minutes for those representatives of the committee. And then we've also asked the developer to prepare a brief presentation, about 10 minutes, and then give you an opportunity for Q&A if you would like to do so.
I think we need to do that
Would you like to do it now?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Kevin Greiner with the FIU Metropolitan Center. I'm going to start out by saying I've been on both sides of RFPs, a lot more of them than I'd care to mention. This one was, I have to say, one of the most professionally run, one of the best open, fair, and transparent RFPs I've ever seen. My fellow committee members put in a phenomenal amount of homework to understand what's a very complicated process, project, and financial terms. So from that perspective, I mean, this kudos goes to the CRA and city staff in running, putting together a great RFP process that ended up soliciting 3 really great proposals. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised. My history with the project goes back 18 months, where we started talking about how to get a city center project started, how to even solicit it for developers. So the center put together a community charrette. We also did a developer focus group where we solicited the best ideas from the community as to what they wanted for the city center project. What I'm really going to remind the board about and remind us all about is that the project started with a promise that the project at the end would represent the desires of the city commissioners, the community, and it would be actually reflect their priorities and what it wanted. I'm really happy to say that it does, and actually exceeded our expectations tremendously. I do this for a living across the state, and I'm going to tell you that this is a potentially transformative project for Dania Beach. At the same time, it reflects every priority that the public put forward through the process that we did. We started with survey questions. You can see on the slide, we asked what was most important in terms of a project. Overwhelmingly, public wanted to see a very vibrant, mixed-use project. They wanted to see high-quality government space. We asked about financing and how this deal would be put together, overwhelmingly in favor of a public-private partnership. Very surprisingly, public 90% said that if the city center could be financed by private sources, they'd prefer that. But if the city had to expend money both to develop and operate the project, they'd be in favor of that too. In the end, what we came up with were some very creative suggestions and a series of priorities. What came out of the development program priorities out of the charrette is the public clearly wants to see quality government space. They wanted to see residential development and be very specific that this isn't high-end, but affordable to the residents of Dania Beach, that this is middle-income housing, and that's what this project delivers. In fact, we're very pleasantly surprised. We expected that, like most projects like this, to get a target of about 30% of the housing affordable to middle-income families, middle-income workers, would have been a great target. This actually delivers 100%. So this isn't, I want to be very clear, is not low-income housing at all. This is middle-income housing. This is apartments, this is units that are affordable for teachers, firemen, policemen, working young professionals just entering the market. Middle-income housing. And it delivers that exceptionally well. Also, the public is very clear that there should be an opportunity to support new business development, especially small businesses from Dania Beach. It does that. It should also provide high-quality public space. It does that.
Excuse me 1 second. I need the audience to please stay quiet, let the presentation continue, and we'll ask our questions when we're finished. Thank you.
There's a major concern that the project didn't become a walled project, that it was accessible both through it and from all sides. It does that. There's a real concern that this not try to compete with Dania Point, but this be a place that was really supportive of local retail businesses from Dania Beach. It provides that space and also financial support to do that. A planned future connection with Coastal Link is built into the project as well, which will be crucial down the line. A big priority was including art and culture into the project. It also provides excessive space for that, not only built into the design, but built into the project, and also performance space as well. So high-quality public space is really the anchor to make this project go. And that also there was a clear desire to have a distinctive architectural theme, that this be something that really speaks about and puts Dania Beach on the map. And in my assessment of this project, it's one of the most interesting projects in Florida, proposals in Florida at this time, because the economic benefits are substantial, very substantial. The financial deal proposed to the city is excellent for the city. This is a great deal for the city. You're getting a lot of value. You're getting paid back for the property over time. The economics of it are extremely exceptional from the city's perspective. And it also delivers what the public wanted. And it's very clear in terms of that. So with that, I'll turn it to Ken Krasnow.
Good evening, Commission. Ken Krasnow, I'm the Vice Chairman of Colliers International. We have been involved with this project a little shorter than my partner here, Kevin, but I will tell you it has been an honor working, getting to know the city, the staff, the CRA, several of the board members. We started this process basically at the end of last year and started to sort of tell the story of Dania Beach and what is and what could be. And I think throughout the process, it's been an encouraging story. By nature of the quality groups that are here today, or the group that's here today as the chosen winner. But I really want to emphasize that we had three bids. Any one of the three were all quality developers. These group, they'll tell you a little bit about themselves. The net that we cast was wide. We had groups that were international. We have a group here that's based out of the Mid-Atlantic. The story of Dania Beach is compelling. So I think you should all be commended for the job that you're doing here in the city. So this is, again, as I said, and Kevin reiterated it, we've also been involved at Colliers in a number of these type of projects. Because this has been so thorough, because there's been so much emphasis put in the beginning of clearly articulating what the vision is from the city, from the residents, all of the proposals came in and basically created a framework from which we are going to begin. And I do want to emphasize that this is really just the beginning. So there's a lot of work to be done over the next 3 to 4 months, 5 months maybe, in hammering out the devil in the details, as they say, to make sure that this project delivers on everything that is up on these screens and that the developers have ensured that they're going to do. But there is a lot of momentum in Dania Beach now. We highly encourage you to continue this process. It has been a very thoughtful, a very transparent process. When we started this process in March, we blasted this out. It was it's all over the internet. It's on every multiple listing service. It's published in the newspapers. Every broker in this city, in the state knows about this project. So this project has been extremely well publicized and promoted. And as a result, we're here today with a world-class developer that is going to invest a lot of money in this city and is going to deliver some tremendous results. We expect job creation. As Kevin mentioned, we do expect middle income working people to be able to have a place to live. Most developers are coming in and want to build high-end apartments that are generally outside the range of many of the residents. This group is targeting, right in the sweet spot of where a lot of the people that live and work in Dania Beach can afford to live. So this is an exciting opportunity, an exciting time to start the process and allow the city manager to begin to hammer out the details of what's going to be a truly transformative project for Dania Beach. So we're excited to be here, and we're happy to answer any questions, or I don't know. If these
Vice
guys
Mayor?
want to-
Hi, yeah, I had a few questions. So I attended the city charrette, and for me, that was something that was very important and very well run. It was important to me because it seemed like we had a great turnout. We had about 100 people, and there was a whole mishmash. It wasn't just like one cliquey kind of group. It was all different sorts of people. So that was a great opportunity. And so when I look at the priorities up there, like I see first, like the government space, the live work housing, the affordable housing, and then like art is 9 down, towards down the bottom. Well, so I'm pulling up the charrette data because I remember that night overwhelmingly people performance-based, visual arts, cultural arts, and those all ranked very, very high. And it was, like I said, all the different groups, people, who didn't hang together. These were totally different, and I was surprised. I was like, oh, we've arrived. Everyone is like here, and they want to see that. And then I see on their office and co-working space are together, but people weren't interested. They didn't say office space. We wanted co-working space, and that's a very significant distinction. And I don't remember anything about anyone being excited about hotels or even really the government services aspect. I don't remember anything about that, but I see them rank high on the development priorities. But for me, I think it's so important that we stick to those priorities that the residents said they were looking for. And why do I see those at the bottom when at the charrette they were at the top? Yes.
I should correct, this isn't a scientific listing in order of importance
Okay.
or priority. All of these were the priorities that came out of the charrette. And art and culture was a very consistent across every theme. It's on this one. So the numbers, don't be confused by the numbers. This isn't a ranking in terms of numerical priority, but it was, these are the top priorities that came out of it. And you're exactly right.
Okay, so, well, I guess then let me amend my question. If those aren't, you're saying they're not in any particular order. How do we, as a commission, ensure that we get those things that we prioritize? Because, I mean, when I look, and it's a very well done, professional, beautiful proposal, but when I look at it, I'm like, oh, hotels and living spaces, and where's all the great things that we got excited about and wanted to move forward with this P3 partnership in the first place? Where did all those go, and how do we ensure that they are built in to the project and don't go away during what's going to be a lengthy process?
I'll leave that to the development team when
Okay.
they make their presentation, but suffice to say, just like Ken said, you're at the beginning of a negotiating process. All of these elements are in it, and all of these elements were actually demanded through the charrette and the public process.
But I see
There were
for
different
hotels,
concepts
no one
and
answered
different,
yes for that.
it's in there. It's your priority to negotiate the structure of the deal.
But
What I'm
you're
telling you
saying-
is that each of the elements the public asked for are strongly, if not exceeded, in this proposal. So
And-
they've exceeded our expectations and what we expected to be delivered. It's there.
And I understand what you're saying, but so when I look at hotel and I see how many people voted for that, 0. So how are there 5 hotels?
They're not, it's not 5
Or
hotels.
however many there are. The hotel, how did hotels make it if no one said at that time that that was part of their vision? And I'm not saying that it can't be or that it doesn't, I'm just saying, how did what our priorities were as the city, how did it all get so switched around?
It's not switched around. I think if you look at the way the structure is, the development team is very invested in, or wants to be very invested in this community. So you'll notice on their proposal, there are things outside of the city, the city center, so to speak, right? The city land, that there is their future hopes and aspirations that they want to continue to, grow and invest and develop in the city. But if you look at the envelope of what we went out to the market with, for the 6 acres or so that are, city-controlled property, it covers all of this, and it's not hotel. It's open space, it's cultural space, it's residential space, it's new, municipal space for city hall, for fire department, for, library. So it incorporates all of that kind of civic center into the core element of the plan. But we are still, again, going to, with Ms. Garcia's direction and your direction, hammer out all of the details to make sure that before you, go forward and actually approve this project, you'll have much more specificity about what's there.
So are you saying those things that ranked very highly and that were very important to people, like the performance space, the visual arts, the sports and recreation, all those other things, those are in the phase, I guess it was, if I recall, there was phase 1, phase 2, and then
right.
future phase? So those things are in future phase?
No, they're in phase 1. Those are.
Oh, those are,
Those
no,
are.
those- I didn't see those in phase 1,
Yeah,
no.
That's in there.
That's core. It's built around a large public plaza that's also a performance space. There's art space included in it. There's actually all kinds of opportunities for design throughout the space, incorporation of street art elements throughout it. That's built in the core of the project. That's phase 1.
6.5 acres, phase 1, yes.
Okay, all right.
Commissioner Brandon Marty.
I want to warn you, I'm the worst one up here. I am the worst one up here to deal with when it comes to this, and I'm going to tell you why. And you, I'm glad you didn't leave, because I want you to hear my statistic. Okay. This is where I'm having my problem with, and that is a 14-story building. That's my problem. I'm not for that. I like what she said the most, because from 3 down, I love. Above 3, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. Already, I don't think enough homework was done into this. We don't know costs regarding plans for more students in schools. Really. We don't have plans for fire and staff, even though you'll probably hear from my city manager. Oh, well, the point is giving us a free firehouse and a free ambulance, not enough. Also, on top of that, what happens at 14 stories, right? And let's say 7 are sold, are rented out. What are you going to do with the other 7? And they are already middle income housing, which is fine. What do you do with the other 7? Do you end up giving them to what? Do we have any protection? What? And I'm going to tell you why. Florida Park residents, and these are all approved right now as of today. And I mind you, some of the permits ran out and they got to reapply. But you back there, listen to this one. You were way off in your numbers, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, Florida Park residents, 293 apartments, we approved it. Park O'Mare, 237, we approved it. Columbus, 352 plus retail, we approved it. Calm Development, 360 plus retail, we approved it. The place at Dania Beach on west of Fifth Avenue, 144. Right now, Treon, the corner of Dania Beach and Federal Highway, 300 apartments, retail and office. The Dania Point, 103 acres, 1,000 new apartments. And City Center, 1,021. And let's say they got visitors, that comes to 13,656 more cars, residents, or whatever you want to look at on a street where we, the commission, didn't even decide to talk about, gee, with this 1,021 added to the ones we already approved, and their permits are expired, and I'm sure we're going to say yes to them again. I am for development, but there's more homework that has to be done on this city center. I don't agree with it. Wait a minute, stop. I don't like applause. I'm just an arrogant commissioner that tells you like it is. From my mouth, I speak the truth. I don't see where we're going to have the water. We were already allotted our water without this project and without Dania Beach. City Attorney, was our city allotted a certain amount of water?
We have an allocation, that is correct.
What's our allocation of water, and when was that put out? Was it before these two big developments and the rest of these?
I can't tell you what the allocation is. I'm not sure the Public Services
All right,
Director
then when
would
we
know.
run out of water, where are you going to get it? Come on, where's your infrastructure going to handle it? It don't. It don't. And what's going to happen to these apartments that you don't rent? I'm looking at another one right now, right on my street, called The Place. I really am. And what's going to happen when the people find out that 38 approximate more trains to go to Orlando is going to be under their window? I wouldn't live there. When I asked Commissioner on the end over there at that time when we first talked about this, would you live there? What was your answer? Yeah, I want you to answer me because it's in the minutes.
Okay. I don't want to live right next to a train station, but...
That's it, just a train station. That's the whole key of this whole thing. And I'm telling you, from 3 down, you're the best. From 3 up, I think that project stinks. And I'm not for putting 13,656 residents back in the city. I just aren't. I don't feel we did our homework to fit in all these things. A 14-story building right in the heart of the city, even if we negotiated you and threatened you down to 10, that's still not good enough. And my vote won't be there. And I'm telling the residents, you could hate me, but hey, I'm used to that. Well, thank you.
Commissioner James.
Yes. Thank you all. I had a couple of questions as well. If I can find it. So let's talk about let's talk about for everyone that's out there in the minutes, how this came about. And Commissioner Brenda Marty is right and accurate when she's saying that there are a lot of approved projects that have been on at this city far before I even got here, far before she's even gotten here. And so that has been the trend. A lot of developers have bought land and sat on it and flipped it and got approvals and flipped it and flipped it. So we can't, you talk about Park Omari, I haven't seen anything since before I was even here. If you talk about the COM project, they got approvals and flipped it. And, so those things aren't in current construction or are no longer in our control. And at that point in time, we were having trouble. And so we had incentives to bring development here, because after the recession, it was very hard to get anyone here in order to do any type of development. I can remember when the Green Hill development, oh my gosh, it had to be before 2011, came here with a project for a new city center, and where the Tryon is proposed, they had a building over here. I think they did the fountain here, if I can recall my recollection, and it never came to pass. I can remember again in maybe 2015, 16 maybe, when our then CRA executive director, Rachel Bach, that her last name?
Yes.
She was here, and she put out a bid, and we got zero interest. And so that it was about that time where I was the mayor that I said, you know what, we need a new city hall, and that was because of a lot of different reasons, especially because we had an EOC building where Hurricane Irma was coming, and me and the former city manager was discussing whether or not we were going to survive in the EOC building. If the roof came out, we had to go and run to the garage. Those are the conversations that we were having. We had the conversations of renovating City Hall, and seeing with the development coming within Daniel Point, if we could renovate and rebuild also the firehouse. And so that's when this all came about, and we said, you know what, let's just go back out and see what else comes back. I want to be very clear that these are proposals that tonight a decision is not being made on. I want to be very clear, the same development or situation that happened with Larry Baum on Sheridan or Sterling Street, with the church, St. Maurice Church, and the development, it took them a year or two of negotiations before the community bought in, because both sides gave what each other wanted. It was a very public process. They came to this meeting a bunch of different times. And so this has been a public process. We made sure that the community charrette was there. I know I attended. I know some of my other colleagues attended. I know a lot of residents attended. I want to be sure that as this project stands as is, no, I don't support the project as is. And I want to go on record for saying that. However, I also want to go on record as saying that I am okay with sitting down to the table and seeing what we could get out of it. I'm not in favor of having 2,400 more people on our streets. I'm not in favor of having 13,000 more cars on our street. I live in the same community. All of us live here in Dania Beach that are sitting up here. But to make it seem like we're trying to push something through or colluding or anything that's going to put any of us in jail, and the salaries that we make up here aren't worth sacrificing any of our lives. Dang sure isn't worth sacrificing my life in jail, because I'm not made for the prison system. But in saying all of that, I do want to make this a transparent process where we can have more community meetings. We can get to a place to where all of us are happy. And guess what? If it doesn't get there and we're not all satisfied, it doesn't happen. I want you all to understand that. If we are not all satisfied with going to the table and speaking to the developers and speaking to the community, it does not happen. This is not a vote on, yes, we saw what was proposed to us and that's going to be done. I just want to be very clear, because there's a lot of misinformation that's going on, rather that's social media, rather that's wherever, but that's not what this is for. I do want to ask, however, if, and I don't know if this happens in the negotiation parts but I want to know, especially for my vote in this process, if we can put something in place, if we decide to move forward, that would ensure, that means in black and white, that means in writing, that means built into the project, that would ensure that there are local opportunities for local residents and businesses, regardless if that is construction, regardless if those are jobs, regardless if those are temporary or permanent. I will not support a project if we cannot ensure that our local companies and businesses are not going to benefit from it.
Commissioner Harris? Oh, I thought you were done. Sorry.
I think we'll let the developer, speak specifically to that, but again, I do want to reiterate, as you said, very articulately, this is the beginning of a process. You have a group that's sitting here who has done this a number of times. They have worked with organizations, councils like yourselves. They're no strangers to doing these kind of projects. Which is encouraging, because they know how to listen, and they know how to react, and they know how to get things done, and it will get things will get done, and that is one of the things that was of the three, as I mentioned, all three of them were very, very capable groups. You're sitting here with a publicly traded REIT, which has got a balance sheet that any of us would be proud to be a part of. So this is, once the input is received and all your concerns, community concerns, et cetera, are satisfied, this project will get done, because you're sitting here with a world-class developer with a strong financial commitment to the city. So.
Yeah, and I do want to reiterate Commissioner James' comments that you're not buying this plan tonight. You're entering in a negotiation. That's a framework for starting. You drive the bus. You're absolutely driving the bus. You own the property, you set the conditions, and I think the beginning discussion of having community benefits agreements that does designate local hiring, permanent jobs, that's a great place to start, but you're driving every aspect of this. The property is also, they actually came in lower height than what's allowed. With incentives, you can get 16, 18 stories on site. So actually lower, the site is zoned for considerable height buildings. They've added space to it, but again, you're driving the bus on this. So all this decision is to enter into negotiation to see if you get what you want. My recommendation is you negotiate hard to get what you want. And don't give up control. What's great about the deal structure that they've proposed is that you maintain control. They proposed a 9-year process. This isn't just going to appear overnight. This project gets built out over the process of 9 years. You actually get to control every step of that as it goes through. They're not asking that you just give away the property, which is another aspect of the deal.
All right, Commissioner Harris?
Yeah, they should really.
In the backup, thanks guys for being here. I know your excellent work through NAREIT. I do. I've heard it and I see it. Question 1 on page 1 of 47, would you be willing to consider upsizing or downsizing the proposed project? And the answer to that you just said is yes. There's a lot of negotiation to be done. There's a lot of what ifs and if we change this. So I get that part of it. But the part that really kind of threw me was on page 29 to 47 when it says the Nyberg Swanson House and the Women's Club will be demolished. And what we're trying to do is create a historical district, but we can't demolish the oldest structures that we have in our city, basically. Is that a typo?
Yeah, let them present the plan.
They meant that.
It says right here.
They wouldn't be dumb enough to do that.
Is that, no? Okay. It's right, yeah, it's right here, page 29 of 47. I saw that.
It is there. What were you going to do with the house?
So at this time, if I could suggest that the developers come up and
I would also like to have an opportunity to speak once Commissioner Harris is finished, since I'm the only one who hasn't had an opportunity to do so.
That's right.
Are you finished, Commissioner?
I'll defer to the mayor.
Thank you. Okay, hi. A few issues here. Number one, I think the main reason that you're going to see pushback from the residents in particular is because although we keep talking about this transparency, and yes, there were charrettes, and yes, there was an RFP that went out, yes, it was publicized all over the place, but when the presentations were done, it was closed to the public. There are a lot of residents who are upset about that. I personally am upset about that. We were not allowed to participate and view the presentations. And then they were held, although they were recorded, they were held for a period of time and not provided to the public. And in fact, the public was not even notified that they could obtain them to review them themselves. So I'm letting everybody know now that if they would like to view the presentations, they are welcome to do so. Just do a public records request. Just request it from the city, call the city clerk, or email the city clerk and ask if you would like to see them. That's what I had to do. But that is a major problem because of the fact that, and I know it's legal, and that doesn't matter that it's legal. The problem is that it takes away any transparency that was taking place in the past and makes it look like we are not being transparent now. So because of that, it creates an illusion here that somebody is doing something improper. And that's the problem that I have with it, number one. And I think that's the problem that you're going to have from most of the residents here. The second problem was when this was put out there and publicized, the way that it was publicized, it made it sound like it was a done deal. We've already discussed the fact this is not a done deal. There are negotiations. That's what we're talking about tonight, is that there would be negotiations to see what could take place. And at some point in time, there will be a vote. And in fact, we could all vote no to it. But the way that it was publicized was making it sound like it was a done deal. Now, my personal take on viewing what I've seen the proposal is it is over the top. We want something in the city center. I think it would be appropriate to have something in the city center. But what has been proposed is not Dania Beach. It's not what Dania Beach is. It's not what Dania Beach is going to be. It looks like something that belongs in Miami or Atlanta or some other major metropolitan area. That is not what Dania Beach is. We are moving forward. We are progressing, but not that far. And that's the concern, I think, from what I've been hearing from people, what I have observed on my own, and it is a major concern. Now, on another note, I don't know if it's city manager or city attorney, probably city manager. We just also received a grant, a large grant for City Hall, $1.8 million.
That's correct.
Okay, from FEMA, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That is something that we need to consider if we're going to be negotiating anything as far as what can be done with that $1.8 million. And addressing some of the issues that we need to address with our own City Hall that perhaps we can do on our own. Now, do we still need more things going on in the city center? Yes, totally agree that we do. I think the only way that you maximize things that we're doing in the city is to have some more things happening here. But we do have to preserve our historical buildings. We do have to make sure that we're not doing something that is completely over the top and doesn't reflect what's going on in this city as a whole. And we need to make sure that it's transparent. So anything else that's happening with this has to be out there for the public. I wish we could have all the presenters come back here and do it again and just let everybody see what's being presented so they could see why each selection was being made, because that would have been the right way to do it. People could have had an opportunity, the public could have made their comments, and that's not what was allowed. And this is why we are here. This is why there are so many angry people out there right now, because they feel like it's being shoved down their throat, and it's not. So I want to assure everybody out there that that is not what's going on here. We are here, the item on the agenda is a bid and request for proposal for us to talk about negotiating. It is not about voting on this. It is not about saying that this is what it's going to be. It's a step to discuss it further. I think you have all heard from all of us that we are not happy with the project that's been proposed as is. There are a lot of questions about it, a lot of concerns about it. One of the, Commissioner Brandon Marty actually brought something up that I want to add to. You were concerned about the water. Not just the water and even our pipes that may not be able to handle it, but we also have to be concerned about our roads. And I'm going to be really surprised if Florida Department of Transportation doesn't get involved in this and start wondering what you all are doing. I don't know if you've gone there and talked to them yet, but I'm going to bet that the planning board is going to be like, what are you thinking with this many more people coming into town? Because it impacts not just Dania Beach, it'll impact other cities as well surrounding. So I would suspect that that's going to cause a problem as well. In any event, I will go to Commissioner Brandon Marty next. Yes?
I'm reading this 8.1, and I know you're all saying that this is only to give the right for bids. But when you look real into it, it's also authorizing the city manager to establish a negotiating team to enter into negotiations. So to me, that's a mask. If you're going to get bids, that means you're going to get a team, and they're going to start to enter into negotiations for a development agreement with Armanda Hoffler. Am I right?
City manager? City manager?
I know that's how you negotiate, but to me, that's saying we're going to do it.
It's not what it means.
No.
Well, that's what it means.
Negotiation is just that. It's, as Kevin said, or as Commissioner James said, at any point, you can decide to walk and say, we're not
Yeah,
going
but
to.
I don't like committees. I'll tell you why.
Well,
They're hard,
somebody,
they
I mean,
don't agree with each other. I need the
you need
residents.
legal, you need some wherewithal to make sure that, certain things are in writing and are clear. So there's legal, there's planning, there's infrastructure. You need a team to make sure that all your Ts are crossed and all your Is are dotted.
Well, can your bid proposal not include the apartment building?
Of course not, that's how the shareholders get paid.
Gunner,
Sir,
please.
Don't do that, because if they throw you out, I'm going to be pissed at you, because I need you here. So
Gunner,
be
you
quiet,
need,
all right?
and Chicky, please don't engage with him.
I want him to stay, though, Mayor.
I understand
I
that.
want him to be a gentleman and be stay.
But,
We're going to.
All right, I got his word.
No
Mayor.
more.
All right.
Commissioner, the
Now, go ahead.
negotiations are just that. It's a framework for coming up with a deal structure, with a project structure, with requirements that, you and/or the citizens are requesting. And if, like I said, if every T is not crossed and every I is not dotted, you can decide, as the mayor said, to vote no, or say, we're done, and we're going to move on.
You do know that whatever committee it is, they don't represent this commission.
No, of course not.
As far as I'm concerned,
You-
note that the committee does not represent this commission.
No,
This co- we may-
that's not true at all. You can appoint whoever you want to your committee.
Well, I don't know that we're
Each of you can sit
appointing
on the
them, are
committee
we?
if you
Oh, my
want,
God.
yes. Of
No,
course
no,
you
no,
are.
no, no, that's
Who's
not the way the
appointing
process
them?
is going to work. Hold on a second, I'm going to have the city
Oh,
manager
Raquel,
speak.
who's
She's been waiting to
appointing them?
speak on this. Commissioner, hold on a minute. I'm going to have,
Sure.
I'm going to have the city manager speak on this because she's been waiting for a while to respond to some of these.
Go ahead.
Please.
Yes, thank you. So, as a seasoned city manager of 10 years, who has brought forward over 30,000 resolutions and ordinances, I will never, ever recommend anything that is not in the best interest of the city that I represent. What's on the table is just one step. There's a multitude of steps here. I would never bring anything that is not financially sound, that is not something that our infrastructure can handle, that is not something that is a priority for you, which is a priority for our residents. So this is just a very, very preliminary stage. I have negotiated a multitude of $1 million for a $1 billion asset that was a utility in my former city. So rest assured that what we see now is not what I am going to bring forward to recommend, but there's many, many steps. And you should seize the opportunity to take the next step and see what could be negotiated based on your direction. So just from what I'm hearing today, because we don't have an adopted strategic plan, which is something that I will recommend, because I need to know what your priorities are in order for me to run with what I need to do and deliver for you. But I am seeing here that historic preservation, from what has been said today, is a priority for this commission. That the infrastructure, such as our water, our roads, our streets, our sidewalks, can handle any and all projects that we recommend to you. So as I said, very, very preliminary, and kudos to this team. But let me tell you, I'm a force to be reckoned with when it comes to representing my citizens and negotiating for the best interests of my city.
Commissioner Harris.
And the strategic plan, part of it is correct, because we need to find out how this project, or a project of this size, would fit into our strategic plan, and also our potential transit-oriented development, and also how it fits into the other cities, in the 31 cities in Broward County, as far as roads, infrastructure, and water is a huge issue. Transportation, I mean, there's just so many issues, but this resolution is just for the fact that we need to get our best community development people, our planners, our engineers, our land use attorneys, our environmental attorneys, our transportation attorneys, everybody, just bring them to the table and say, hey, look, guys, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want. This is our vision. And this is it. This is our vision. But, you know, what I've seen so far is not my vision. I have to tell you guys straight up. Yeah. But getting people to the table to start talking about what the vision is and how it relates to the overall future of Dania Beach, not just in the next 5 years, like I said earlier, but the next 25 years. all of those things need to be considered. And I welcome you to the table and whoever else we can bring to the table. And the community benefits agreement that you mentioned, I mean, it's not just jobs and where people live. I mean, you know, we have a design district over here, you know, can they do the, you know, the window blinds and the carpet and the tile and, you know, just all those things that go with a community benefits agreement. So, yes, bring people to the table, that's what I say.
Okay, I just want to reiterate the sentiments of my colleagues here. The evaluation team consisted of some top-notch professionals with a lot of experience, and when we took a look at the financial standing of this group, one of your concerns, Board Member Commissioner Brandon excuse me, was the ability to follow through, and we really felt that this team would be able to follow through from a financial standpoint, so we don't have those permits that are expiring, and, you know, we want to see a project that is able to get completed. So this team also demonstrated their willingness to be flexible in the density that they're proposing. We do allow 14 stories with incentives. However, this team has articulated that they are willing to be flexible with the density on this project, and I want to give them an opportunity to speak to that tonight and to allow the residents to hear a little bit more from them, if that is still desired from the commission.
That's fine.
Hello, good evening. Mayor, Commissioners, we thank you for this opportunity. My name is Richard Cohen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Capital Group in partnership with Armada Hoffler. We're the local developer partner of Armada Hoffler. We are very honored to be here. I would echo a lot of the things that were said about the transparent process from our perspective and the opportunity to see what everybody was doing and what we were proposing. I think what you will hear today is a lot of what you heard from your selection committee, is that we have not had an opportunity to meet with people and to listen to your vision and to listen what the collaborative process needs to be. So we'll be speaking that a little bit tonight, but we have not had that opportunity, and we're looking forward to that opportunity. So we're going to just do a short presentation. We're here to answer questions, whatever they may be, as best we can. And we believe that this is the beginning of a process. That's really what this is. So, yeah, we're going to do a quick introduction of who is here, and then cover a very brief agenda. I'll let I'm sorry. We will. We're going to cover this agenda as quickly as possible. We have about 10 minutes. We're going to have our group introduce themselves, so you know who is here from our development team, and then just quickly hit on some of the highlights that you've heard today. So, as I said, my name is Richard Cohen. I'm with Capital Group. Mario?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity. We are very, very grateful to be here, to be able to hopefully start this process with you. And I'm very proud to
Can you please state your name? I don't think we got your name.
I said Mario Caprini from Capital Group, CEO. And I am very proud to have partnered up with Armada Hoffler, and their team flew in from Virginia Beach. And I would like to introduce Jonathan Morris, the Chief Investment Officer.
Thanks, Mario. Again, we feel that this is the first step in a long process, and it would be a mutual one. We don't know what the future is, but we want to know what you want for the city, and we would like to provide it. We also have significant capabilities to do that, so once you decide what you want, we can deliver on it. Tonight we've brought Bernard Shoemate, who is head of our entire development group, and Mike Zielinski, who is one of our top finance guys in Virginia Beach.
Thanks, Jonathan. Good evening. I'm Bernard Shoemate. I'm the head of our development company. Thanks for the comment about NAREIT. We are a publicly traded company, Transparency is part of our DNA because of the laws and requirements of a publicly traded company. We've done numerous public-private partnerships, and we understand the process of sitting down with the municipality to come up with the best use of the property. We did compete to get here today, and we're very proud of what we put together, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Mike Slinsky, Armada Hoffler. You have amongst here, you have, from Armada Hoffler, we've got almost 40 years of experience in doing public and private partnerships. We've done over 20 of these. As we'll go through the presentation, you'll see what we've done at Town Center. And the whole process, I just need to emphasize, it's a negotiation. This is the first time we're getting together. There'll be many discussions. There'll be opportunities for everybody to voice their opinion. What you've seen in the news is not necessarily what's going to be built. We're going to work in tandem to make sure that we get this process, so this process runs smoothly. You get what you want. We work in tandem, and we deliver a win-win for everybody.
Thank you. I want you to know that we are very committed to working with the city to create an iconic expression that uniquely reimagines Dania Beach. What I've heard some comments I'd like to address during my presentation, but this is only the beginning. We have been given a program from the city that we respected, that we stayed within. We have asked to create the possibility of the extreme of the image that could be Dania. And the essence of what we do is to first start, as we will speak with your team if you so choose to move forward, we will start with the citizens. We meet them in the meeting rooms with the drawings, with our drawings, with other drawings, and we look at what the image of Dania Beach wants to become. That's what we do. Going through this process, we spend a lot of time. I personally read the entire charrette, word for word, page by page, and that was my number one priority. And I look forward to these public meetings. We can have in the library meeting room or in the city hall, whatever space is available out here, we'll work it out. But we went through all of the elements from the development side, from the community side, and I can tell you we have hit all of them. Now, some of the parameters of 14 floors. Do we have to build 14 floors? No, we don't. No, we don't. We have to determine this is the start of a relationship. This is the start of studying what's going to be needed in the marketplace, of the due diligence, of checking how much water is available and all that, and making it work as a team. We can't do this. We're not here to impose anything on the city. We're here to collaborate with you guys. We're here for the community. We don't want to be the outsiders in. We want to become part of the community. This is very important to us. Now, having the right tools to attract the companies. In the charrette, there was a mention of creating higher income for the city. There was a mention of attracting a specific profile of customers that are called millennials that are really needed by the competing companies that I'm sure the city would love to see here. We have developed at least 6 different programs that we will share with you and educate and modify as needed to make sure that we adapt to what we need to deliver the mission that you are going to entrust in us. And our agreement is a development agreement. It's not a sale of land. It's a cooperation that's going to last 7-9 years. And we're the only team that not only did we fulfill the program that you prescribed within your charrette, but we're the only team that addressed all of the other owners. We went to the art gallery. We went to Grandpa's Diner. We spoke to all these people. We said, we want to integrate you into our project. We put the focus on art, culture. We have a gallery in building, what we call Building 2. So if you give us the opportunity to start the process with you, we will show you, point out, black and white, where everything is that's in your charrette. And as for the historical buildings, part of an affiliation we have is with our nonprofit development firm. They have committed to move the historical building into another site, which will be used by the public, which is 1 block away, so that the community can continue to use this beautiful building, which we're going to move there and fix up. So nothing is going away of what you wanted. We're just going to help enhance. We need a clear mission. We kind of did this in a vacuum just based on documents and information that we got from you. Now is give us the opportunity to sit down with you at the table and really discuss what is needed. And it's not only with the city official, but it's the folks back here. They're the ones that we want to be part of the community. We want to create a sense of place, a destination, a new image that you all said in the charrette was essential to create the new image that Dania Beach wants to be. So I think we have accomplished that, and given the opportunity, we'll be able to continue working with you. And this is only the beginning of a long process. Our housing units, I don't know where these numbers of 2,400 came from. In our package, it says 810 units. So we will look at, and regardless of what we wrote of 810 units, we will look at the density, we will look at the number of floors, and all this is the start of a process. Dania Beach should be what Dania Beach should be looking like, not what Miami looks like, not what Fort Lauderdale looks like. We are here to create the image that you want Dania Beach to be, not a picture of what it is tonight. This was a vision of a designer to say, how do we make them feel like they're changing their image for whatever it is? That doesn't mean you're buying that image. That means that we're showing you our capacity to create, to imagine, to create the vision that you want to create. Now, did we hit the mark on the architecture? Probably not. It doesn't matter, because we're going to sit down with you, we're going to create the images you want, and we're going to bring that to the table. But without starting the process, how are you ever going to get it done? We have to start somewhere. So I'm asking you is give us the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
You know, I think one of the other things that we want to make sure, and I think this was said by some of the people on the selection committee, is this is a long process. This is the schedule that we submitted with our proposal and our response to the questions that we were asked. This schedule is a 9-year schedule, which includes 3 phases. I think somebody mentioned that. One of the key elements to keep in mind, as Mario said, is phase 1 is the only thing this project is really about. Phase 2 and 3 have to do with future land acquisitions that are not part of the city property. So we show about a 7-year development of the city property alone. And the other few years have to do with potentially additional land acquisition surrounding on Federal Highway. I believe it's 1st and 3rd is also, as you mentioned, Mario, a potential for the development. So I think there are a lot of numbers floating out there. Those numbers include that future development that is not part of the main city center. So there's a lot of numbers that we saw published today. I think a few people talked about what hit the media. Those numbers are not part of the city development. They're part of future development phases. So I don't know where that information came from, but that's what that was about. That's really all we have. Yeah.
Part of what we did when we did this, when we talk about 5 years, 7 years, it seems like a long time. But we are going to design this project for you so that at any time, at any phase where it stops, it's going to be beautiful if it takes a little bit longer or a little faster. Nobody controls the market cycles, and we designed this so that it would have the least amount of impact on the execution of this beautiful project that we're going to create for you.
Interesting. Your light's up, huh? Vice Mayor, you have a question?
Hi. I really liked the things that you said. It kind of made me believe that you saw what was important to us. And I think it's clear that for the commission, you know, I never really think of it as our vision. I think of it as us translating what the residents say and the community, and accurately articulating and reflecting all that back to you. And I think what panicked us and panicked the residents is we looked at that and we're like, oh, that's not the vision, that's not the vision. and I get it. I get it. When I hear you, I get it, and I believe you, and I believe that this is probably the right partnership, and that although Chicky and I will probably be dead by the end of it, that that it's going to be beautiful.
You're taking me with you?
Well, it's been a good run. And that, you know, we're not, while, the buildings might be cool to one person, that's not what it is. That these other things, from the charrette and from what the residents say, that those are going to be properly brought in, and really most importantly, although perhaps most boringly, that all the infrastructure and issues are all going to be addressed and worked out, and that nothing is going to come back where in 7 to 10 years when we're dead, that is like, oh my God, how did we get here? I think that's what no one wants. No one wants to like look at it, sort of how we looked at that picture, and we're like, how did we get here? How did we get this? No one in 5 years wants to look at this and be like, oh my God, how did we get this? But I think if it's what you're saying, that the commission is driving the bus, and the commission's going to change because Chicky's not going to be here. Not dead, you're just not going to be here anymore. Some of us might get elected out and be, you know, you have different people up there.
It takes 9 years, I may be back.
That's true. True that, Chicky.
Don't
True
rule
that.
that out.
So yeah, I buy it. I buy into it, and I appreciate the way you articulated some of those things. Commissioner Brandon Marty.
Yes. Mario,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know your last name.
Caprini.
Italiano?
Sì, italiano.
Sì.
Italiano, signora?
See.
Sì, brava.
Go home, everybody. I'm negotiating now.
Uh-oh.
All right, now let me tell you where the red flag went up, and they're all in the last four rows if they will listen to this. When it said on this paper, the Nyberg, Swanson, and Women's Club building will be demolished, and the historic building will be related at no cost to the, relocated is what they meant, not related,
Right.
at no cost to the city after completion of City Hall, the library building, and has planned and programmed not just to fit the Chamber of Commerce, but also to include adequate space for the Women's Club. Well, that's our clubs. They ain't going nowhere.
Right, that club is
That,
included in
that-
the city.
This was included. I didn't get past, and I don't think
Well, I
Bill
don't know
did either, that
where that
first
came from.
paragraph, but it says you're going to move it. But I don't like adequate space for the Women's Club. That better be spoken to with them, because they need their space. They're a great club, and
Yeah.
Bill, thanks for bringing that there.
Thank you.
Now, you said something I liked, Mario, when you said, number one, first of all, you're the CEO. Number one, talk to the citizens. And that should make you happy if we had a big meeting here at City Hall, nowhere else,
Absolutely.
and talk to the citizens. Unless you talk to them and smooth them over, you should have Mr. Mealy on your team. Who said yay? Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Mr. Mealy went to a part of our city, and he really had to have meetings. How many, Charlotte? There were 9 meetings, Charlotte, thank you. And let me tell you something, he had a hard road to go on, but his incentives won them over. And I was happy, because I love him, I think he's great. Don't nobody say you don't like him either. And it worked out, something that looked so impossible, but it worked out, because why? Every time he came into a meeting, somebody else would bring something else up. He'd post it, he'd go and meet with them, am I right, Mayor? Yes, and he didn't give up, even though he had to have all those meetings and probably give them a clubhouse. I don't know what the hell he did. And then you said you're willing, point number 2, you're willing to drop down floors. First of all, we were informed that it was over 1,000 units. Am I right back there? Yes. And now I'm understanding it's 800 units.
According to what we submitted, it's 810 units.
810
Yeah, that's
units or
including phase two, which-
1,230.
Can I clarify?
Yeah, I
ahead.
want
Yeah,
clarification.
no, so if you look at the city property, just the city property.
That's all I wanted.
Okay, that is not 800
No, no.
units. The 800 units includes the future development of properties around the city property. So,
I said nothing else, but they are lying, they're flat out lying.
okay. well.
To go. You're going out.
Genner, you blew it for me.
So,
Tell me, guys, is
So-
that
so the-
apartment building, how many units are going to be?
I believe, and I don't have the numbers.
apartment building.
yeah, there are several apartment buildings that we show on the city property.
Go
and I-
ahead.
And I believe that they total somewhere in the 410 unit range, just on city property.
We have 4 buildings.
And outside of it?
There's 400 outside of it.
That are not part of this city development.
Well,
They're-
what are they part of?
Well, what we tried to propose, and maybe I can clarify a little bit about the architecture as well. As we were looking at this project, one of the things, again, we had very little interaction, obviously cone of silence, we can't talk to anybody. What we had to look at was how do the proformas and the business side of this work both for the city and for the developer? And so what we had to do was look at what is the ultimate potential build-out based on all of the parameters that were in the advertisement. You know, the advertisement talked about 14 stories and hundreds of units. So we used that as a baseline and said, could it be developed? Could it be taken to that level? That doesn't mean that it can't be taken to a lesser level and the economics still work for everybody. So again, without having the opportunity to meet and talk with everybody, our proposal right now for the city property is 410 units over 4 buildings.
Right.
It's not even like we're putting 400 units in one building. These are small floor plates. They are parking structured with each of the units so that if we're building an apartment building, the parking is isolated per code for that building. So it's a phased development over 7 years that literally builds, I'm just using about 100 units at a time with associated parking in each of the buildings. It's not a mass construction of 800 units of all of these buildings. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit for everybody.
But I'm still not satisfied with the answer.
Okay?
It is going to be more than 800 units, a potential.
For the adjoining other properties that we do not own. We're trying to incorporate the
Them
neighbors
into it?
around.
You don't own it.
No.
I mean, you don't, you're not building those too.
No. If the sellers, let's say the owner of Grandpa Diner, if the owner of Grandpa Diner decides, we want to be part of the redevelopment, and we want to be on the first floor because we want to have an updated Grandpa Diner, right?
Yeah.
So we put them on the first floor, and on top of that goes apartments. So these are outside of the project for the city. What we're trying to do is be inclusive of the people around us. How could we be part of the community and
you
do a
don't
deal in
include
a
them?
vacuum? That would be ridiculous. So we have to talk to them. They have to be part of the meetings and tell us what they want, how we can help. And you know what? A very important thing. What delays or derails a lot of real estate project is finance and financing.
You're your own.
God sent on my path.
So you're your own financing.
That's it.
We don't
Their
have to worry
vision is
about-
long-term ownership. My vision is to create beautiful environments that I can participate in a community and create assets, right? Their vision is to hold it long haul. Nothing's going to be built here because their name, they're a public company, is on the line. They're not going to build something they walk away from for 2 years. Look at their history. That's not what they do. We're going to build something that makes us part of the community. That you guys will be proud of, as proud as we are.
Talk to the citizens, though. That's going to be the
Absolutely.
most important thing, right, Mayor? Yeah, in fact, you're going to listen to them
That's what we
Now.
do.
now.
Yeah,
Not yet.
sure.
2 people want to speak still.
Okay.
Commissioner James.
Nope, I just have a motion when everyone else is.
Well, we're going to do,
No, no, no.
I'm going to allow the public to speak.
Okay, Okay.
as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, and I wanted to reassure that a lot of the stuff that Commissioner Brandon Marty is talking about is exactly what's going to be happening during the negotiation phases that everyone is talking about, the relocation of the Nyberg Swanson House and the Women's Club, and how many units that we want and the density. All of that happens in the negotiation phase, and that's what we want to have authorization to do. Oh,
Right.
okay.
Commissioner Harris?
Corinne. In regards to the 14-story buildings, I believe the zoning was changed back in the early 2000s for the city center zoning district to allow 14 floors. Is that right? It is allowed with incentives. I mean, it's a planning issue,
Yeah,
but
we got it now.
because I was on planning and zoning then, so I kind of remember that it was before that.
Our
But it
land-
is allowed by code.
Right, our current land development regulations was adopted September of 2010,
Okay.
and city center was created at that point. Right, so what is allowed for a height in city center is 7 stories. They can earn an additional 7 stories through incentives.
Do they have to go, can they go 8 or 9?
Oh, yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
it's
a
just per
different.
floor.
Yeah, they have to look at the incentives.
But-
There's a different height that they earn through each incentive.
And why I'm asking about that also, because people say they want a downtown, and I've never seen a downtown that doesn't have some moderately tall building. So I think a mix of 7, 8, 9, 10 around in your city center, downtown, I mean, it all kind of goes together. So thank you, Corinne. Go ahead.
Just to add to this, there was a discussion about the parking. We have to look at, our goal was to incorporate a train station, incorporate a trolley. We are all about, that's where the future is going. My daughter's a millennial. She goes, Dad, I don't want a car. People don't live like
No,
that.
he's right.
So what we're doing is we're designing to try to use these incentives to minimize the parking impact or allow it to be modifiable to some other use later on. So trust me, we have the vision and the experience to really accomplish this mission for you.
If you gentlemen want to sit down, and I'm going to open this up to the public. If there is anybody who'd like to speak, please come up, state your name, your address, and we'll limit you to 3 minutes.
Charlotte Sloboda, 2905 Lakeshore Drive, Dania Beach. Listening to just what was said tonight, to me, I think of it as, if you look at it as a staircase that has 100 steps, this is step 1. And since you gentlemen have expressed how you were willing to negotiate and meet with the citizens here, because believe me, they will be here and I'll be here. And it needs to be worked out. It sounds like it's going to be a great project as long as we get what we want. But at first, it was like, it was totally, completely finished and we didn't have anything to say about it. But you've made it clear tonight that we are in control, and that I thank you for. Okay.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak?
Carol. Uh-oh.
Please state your name and address.
Be good.
I'm Carol Hemis. I'm at 214 Southwest 6th Street, Dania Beach. I'm just kind of, this is the first I actually heard of it. But I'm looking, and I came to Dania because I love Dania. And it's a small town, small community, we're growing. But my thought is, do we really need a big city center? We're not a big city, we're spread out. And then to have tall buildings in the middle of our center, and it just doesn't feel like Dania. It feels like we're trying to be another city inside our city. And that's my concern. I want us to grow and I want us to get better, and I love the place. I could have moved a long time ago, but I'm here till I die. Hopefully another 40 or 50 years.
Me too, Carol.
But at least I hope so. Anyway, my house will be paid off by then.
All right.
But I really don't want to see us getting so big that we just don't feel like Dania any longer.
Commissioner Harris? No? Commissioner Harris.
Just one, in my other work around the county, I know that between 16 to 24 families a day are moving to Broward County. That's households a day. So, with that into consideration, everybody's moving west and south. That's why they're coming to us. And is why we call it a city center, is because it should be the center of the city. And you want a tall building? Of course. We want a media center. We want event space. We want shared workspace. We want a coffee shop. We want our city services and our planning and zoning department to be readily accessible and safe for our workers. So that's the idea of building a city center with a city building that's new and innovative, for all the people that fly into Fort Lauderdale every day, and there's thousands and thousands of them, to come here for work for 1 or 2 days, and everything that's going on around us at Dania Point and other places. I think having us to be the center of the city is a very good thing, and we can manage. We can start knocking it out tonight. Put some tables and chairs and get some pizza, and we can start tonight negotiating. I mean,
I'm not going to be here.
well,
I'm in there, Bill. I'm in
okay.
there with you.
Gin and tonic. For
Oh,
everyone.
yes, yes.
But,
Gin.
and also what I would like to
Gin,
do personally
absolutely.
is, I know you guys and your reputation a little bit. I mean, I'll, on my own money, I'll come up to Virginia Beach and see what you've done up there. I would love to come up there. Because it's a coastal city. There's many things that we have in common. We'll see what you've done there. And, I'll take Betty Sokol with me. And I think it would be a good representation of what you guys do, because we're building a relationship that's going to last for the next 10 years. So that's all I have to say.
Commissioner Brandon Marty.
I just want to congratulate Carol over there for winning a 70-inch TV set over the weekend. Thought I'd break this up a little bit, but she did win. Damn, huh? She did. She won a 70-inch screen. She bought, I think, a ticket, and she hit it this weekend.
Okay.
We're a small city.
Any other comments?
We're all activists.
Are there any other people from the public who would like to speak on this?
I'm surprised.
No one else? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
A lot of people are calling
I will make the motion that we start a relationship and a conversation.
That's it.
It's based on the.
Approve 8.1.
Yeah, that's the resolution
Basically,
that's there.
Tonight, if you want, put some tables and chairs out there. Get a TV.
So Commissioner Harris, it's your motion to approve?
It's my motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Brandemart,
Because of Mario saying talking to citizens, I will approve this first step, but boy, I'll be there every inch of the way.
Commissioner Harris,
I know you
Yes.
want me there.
Yes.
You have no
Commissioner
choice.
James.
That's the only reason why. They voted for me.
Commissioner
years.
Brandon Marty, please.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Odman,
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item is public hearings.
Okay, for anybody that's going to address the commission, anybody's going to address the commission on the Design Center,
I don't know, Mario.
Mr. Larry Adair's applications for 800 Marine Technical, or the Dania Airport Hotels. Anybody's going to speak? All right, okay.
Talk to citizens type of thing. Mario, you got your card? You ain't getting mine.
Gentlemen, I need you to
Mario's
step away
from
from the
Rome, my
dais,
husband.
please. I need you to step away from the dais, please. I need you to step away. Thank you. Okay.
Caprini. Buonasera.
Okay. Can you please repeat that, Tom?
And anybody's going to speak tonight to the commission other than lawyers, anybody, the staff or anybody applicants, lawyers don't have to be sworn in, but under the law, these are quasi-judicial hearings. So anybody who's going to speak on the application for the Design Center, for the Larry Adair 800 Marine Center, or the Dania Airport Hotels, other than lawyers, anybody please stand and be sworn. Swear or affirm testimony to give, be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thanks very much. Please be seated. And then, commission, as I call these, if you've been contacted by anybody either for or against under the Jennings rule, if you would please so disclose that. First, 9.1, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the development of regional impact abandonment request, OT 8518, submitted by John D. Voigt Esquire on behalf of the Design Center of the Americas for property located at 1855 Griffin Road in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of this ordinance.
Good evening, Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This is second reading of the application. It was brought before the City Commission in July and was passed on first reading, and this is for the application to abandon the DRI that's established on the Dakota, the Design Center of the Americas. I can make another presentation if you'd like to do so. I know the applicant's here if you have any questions.
Does anybody need the presentation again? We'll waive it.
Public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against?
Make a motion to approve 9.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
9.2, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of city funds exceeding $1 million for CAP Government, Inc., providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. It's the first reading of that ordinance.
Is there a presentation? Nothing? Okay.
This is a charter requirement. Anytime we spend more or expect to spend more than $1 million, charter requires a public hearing and an ordinance be adopted. It's anticipated that the expenditure for this company will exceed the $1 million cap.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing no one, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 9.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
9.3, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the waiver of replat request, OT 86819, submitted by Larry L. Adair on behalf of the property owner, 800 Marine Technical Center, Inc., for the property generally located at Northwest 3rd Place between Northwest 8th Avenue and Northwest 9th Avenue in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to this resolution, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date.
Good evening. Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This is for the vacation of right-of-way for the 800 Marine Technical Center. Vacations do require Planning and Zoning Board to make a recommendation to the City Commission. At last week's Planning and Zoning Board meeting, they asked to continue the item to their September meeting, so we have to continue this item until your second meeting in September.
This is a public meeting, although the motion is likely going to be to continue it, but this is a public hearing, so is there anyone here to speak for or against?
I'm sorry, are we on, I'm sorry.
We're on the replat. I think we can.
We're on the replat.
We can proceed on that
I
one.
apologize.
Okay.
I spoke to the
Yeah,
wrong
it's the
item.
vacation
This is
that
the
we have.
waiver of replat. They have to do this anyway. The code, I do have a presentation for this, but the code requires when you do a vacation that the property owner replat the property. However, there's a provision in the code that says the commission, if they find that there's an undue hardship, could waive that request, and that's what the applicant is requesting, is to waive the replatting requirement because they are requesting a vacation. So I know the applicant's here. I can make your full presentation. I have a little graphic of the section that they're vacating, even though that's not the application, but the applicant's here as well.
Does anybody need to see the presentation? Okay, we'll waive that. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against?
I'll make a motion to approve 9.3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
9.4, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the right-of-way vacation request, VC 8719, submitted by Larry L. Adair, PA, on behalf of the property owner, 800 Marine Technical Center, Inc., for the property generally located between Block 3 and Block 2, to the immediate north and south, and between the intersection of Northwest 9th and 8th Avenues, to the immediate west and east of the plat of Dania Manor, recorded in Plat Book 10, page 53, Public Records of Broward County, generally described as the Northwest 3rd Place within the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to this resolution, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date. It's the first reading of this ordinance, but it needs to be continued to,
Correct.
What's the date, the next meeting?
The second meeting in September, I'm sorry, was it the 23rd? September 23rd.
September 23rd, although it's still a public hearing.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve
No.
9.
To continue.
Yeah, to continue
To continue 9.5, I'm sorry.
to September.
9.4.
It's 9.4
To September 20th.
9.4.
to September
to
23rd.
September 23rd.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No.
9.5 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, in the site plan modification SB 0217 MOD and variance VA 12319 submitted by Dania Airport Hotels LLC for properties generally located on the east side of North Federal Highway between Northwest First Street and East Dania Beach Boulevard, and on the east side of Northeast First Court between Northeast First Street and East Dania Beach Boulevard in the city of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to this resolution, providing for conditions, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Is this Corinne? Yes.
Okay, good evening. Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This application is for site plan modification, but for a variance as well. So this application, you all are familiar with, is the True Hotel, which is currently under construction on Federal Highway. There's actually two sites for this development project. The Federal Highway parcel is 44 North Federal Highway, where you see the hotel coming out of the ground. And then there's a second parcel at 14 Northeast 4th Court. That's where satellite off-site parking will be for the property, and that's actually where the modifications to the site plan are occurring, is that secondary off-site parking site. Just real quick, this zoning is city center. It is regional activity center land use. There are no violations. As you know, it's the hotel, the True Hotel, which is under construction. I talked about the two sites. The original site plan, design variations, variances, exception was approved in 2017. And these are the two sites. So Federal Highway is on the left side of the screen. Dania Beach Boulevard is at the bottom of the screen. This is where the changes are occurring that require the site plan modification. With regards to the variance, I'll discuss that item first. The original site plan was approved with a parking agreement to utilize 18 parking spaces in the city's parking garage, and there's a lease agreement that currently stands for those 18 parking spaces. At this time, the applicant's proposing to eliminate those 18 parking spaces and the lease agreement as well, which is necessitating the parking variance. The applicant will be providing a total of 78 parking spaces between the two sites, between the hotel building site and the off-site parking lot that they have, which will all be valet parked, but there will be a total of 78 spaces. The code requires 96, so that's why we're here with regards to the parking variance. There are criteria identified in the land development regulations regarding variances. The applicant's been able to address those criteria in their justification statement. That's part of your package that you have. With regards to the site plan, it was a previously approved site plan. The applicant is asking to amend the lot on the Northeast First Court. Originally, the access to that site was off the alley on the south side of the parcel. That alley is only 15 feet wide. It doesn't allow for that, all the traffic, the number of trips, and the movements that would occur because of the small size of that alley. So they're switching the access to the west side of the parcel, which would be on Northeast First Court. The layout, screening, and landscaping will remain the same as was originally approved. This is off-site parking. As you know, it will be all valet. There was one item that does need to be addressed, and that's the foot candle, the lightage, the light spillage on the site. The code requires no more than 0.5 foot candle spillage when it's adjacent to residential. The applicant's aware of that, and we'll be modifying that photometric plan to meet code requirement. That is a condition of the resolution that was added after the package was distributed, so we updated the resolution to reflect that condition. This rendering is showing the landscaping around that site. It will also be enclosed with the wall as well, so there's going to be, landscaping perimeter around that property. At this time, the staff is recommending approval of the resolution for the parking variance as well as the site plan modification.
Commissioner Brandon.
They originally were leasing the parking from us, right?
That's correct. There's a current lease agreement. Yes.
What happened?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to let the applicant present that information to you. Yes.
You can let her answer the questions. Thank you.
That's correct.
Now you changed it to all valet parking. What happened?
Well, we actually always had an all valet parking.
Hold on,
Right.
you
Oh,
need to
that's
give your
right.
name,
That's right.
name and address, please.
I'm sorry, Nectaria Chalkis with the firm Lockery and Chalkis on behalf of the owners. We always had a 100% valet parking arrangement. As part of the site plan, the original site plan approval, there were 18 spaces that we were going to be leasing from the garage.
Right.
After the owner also owns the Wyndham down the street. And as as time has gone on, they've realized that the parking needs are not really exactly what the code here requires, and so they need a lot less. We went in and spoke to staff, and we expressed some of our concerns, and they had suggested, well, if you can provide us with a parking study, which we did, that, it may make sense to go ahead and apply for a variance from the parking requirements, and then those spaces would be freed up in your garage so that you could use them toward other projects that would require and need those parking spaces. So there's a benefit, I think, to the city to be able to take those spaces or recapture those spaces back, because the owners are not, they do not believe that they need those spaces in your garage, and so they would just be sitting there empty. They would be paying you a monthly fee for the spaces when you could be really leasing them out to somebody else who really needs the spaces in order to make their development work. That was sort of a long answer to a short question, but.
Vice Mayor.
A good lawyer did that.
Commissioner James.
Yes, I'm sorry. I wanted to know how the other hotel was doing with the parking, because the last thing I want to do is take away the parking, and then you need the parking, and then how are we going to address the parking after the fact? I mean, I personally would rather see how it goes with the parking, and once it's proven that it's not needed, then to come back and reduce the amount or take away those spaces. So could Mark or Corinne speak to how the parking is looking, even for the Morrison?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mark LaFerrier, Community Development. The Morrison, for example, they've got 87 spaces in our garage, excuse me, and we monitor their usage on a regular basis. Probably not more than 9 or 10, unless they have an event, is actually used in our garage.
How many do they have in their garage, though?
They've got, I think there's about 18, plus they've got another maybe 10 on site.
Okay.
What we're finding, and this is what the parking study proved to be true also, that in our proximity to the port and the airport, and just ride service nowadays, people are really not bringing cars to these hotels, and therefore they can reduce the amount of parking.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. So, next item is discussion and possible action. First item is Pet-Friendly City by me. Something that came up at the conference of the U.S. Mayor's Conference is Mars, who owns Chewy Pet Supermarket, I think it is, and some other companies, not just candy companies. They offer an opportunity to have your city certified as a pet-friendly city. It is free. It's basically fill out an application that's kind of complicated, and you're basically promoted as a city that there's certain requirements you have to meet, which we do. It has to do with hotels that are pet-friendly, restaurants that are pet-friendly, having dog parks, things like that. And it basically gives us the opportunity to be promoted on various websites as a pet-friendly city, which is something that a lot of people look for when they're moving. or when they're visiting. So like I said, it is something that's free. I've had Candido looking at the application to see if it was something that we met the qualifications for and make sure that it was something that we could actually provide the information, and it is. So it's just something that I would like us to move forward with and become certified as a pet-friendly city. Commissioner James?
Sorry, yes, when you say pets, what all type of pets are we encouraging to come here? Because I know some of our residents have pigs. Really? And I don't want to become the farm.
No, they'd still have to be within the code requirements, but it's a matter of, it would end up on different websites. When people are looking for a place to live, it basically designates you as a pet-friendly city, and then, can you come here a minute? Because I know you've been looking into this for me more.
Candido Sosa Cruz, Assistant City Manager. As the mayor stated, basically, it's where businesses open up their stores, providing water for the pets, hotels being pet-friendly, having an environment citywide where it's opening for pets, it's acceptable to come and visit with your pets. Different cities have it. Hallandale Beach is already certified. They promote it on the website. Right now, other cities are also promoting it. And it's really a unique, very modern way to attract businesses, to attract people to the city. And again, it's free, and we promote the city throughout social media and throughout these different websites that do promote the cities that are part of this certification.
So our restaurants and grocery stores aren't going to be required to just...
No, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement at all.
Okay.
A lot of the businesses are already pet-friendly. For instance, Dania Point, they're already pet-friendly. Hotel
I
Morrison,
know.
they're already pet-friendly
I
before
know.
we even approach them.
No, I shared the Hurricane in the Home 2 Suites with dogs, so I'm very aware of some of our, our hotels and stuff,
Right.
so, okay. thank
Part
you.
of the certification is having a dog park.
Right.
Again, all
Got
things
it.
that we already do that will benefit the residents and will promote the city.
I'm on board for it.
Commissioner Brandamari?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello, Commissioner.
When I read the statistics to the city at a meeting about what people were looking for, Airbnb was one, and second, this is tourists all over the world. Airbnbs, they wanted as number one, and the second was pet-friendly.
Absolutely.
And all the restaurants are putting bowls out for the dogs because their owners go in a restaurant, they're going to get served food, they're going to get water. But now the restaurants on Las Olas, they have this dog, and then he's standing up, and by his feet is a bowl of water, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful to be known as pet-friendly. What I do hate, though, and I must tell you as a restaurateur, is when they stick the darn dog, and I hate this, on a chair, eating the food from the table on a plate.
That's
And
a
if
little
you
too
don't
friendly.
believe me,
I think that
and
would
it's
be,
called,
That's pet love.
which you can get every day of the week, service dog. I ain't telling you what restaurant, but when I walk by there and I see that, I get furious. You can't refuse the service dogs. I know you can't do that. But I'm having a problem at the restaurant with the carriages. Now, the carriages that I didn't even have a carriage for my son. There were 2 in 1 carriage. But this carriage blocks the fire exits. And when you tell them to move the carriage, Mayor, you know what I'm talking about. Those carriages cost $80 too.
my dogs don't go in carriages.
And they even put them in front of the fire exit. Otherwise, I'm pet-friendly.
Okay, so with
And I
with that-
like snakes.
Yes, she does. We had this
And
conversation.
that is my pet
stops
of
there.
choice and always has
Okay,
been.
so with that,
No, it's not.
um, do we have a consensus to move forward with this? I think we do.
want
Okay, good. Okay, the next item is citywide reduction of glyphosate-based fertilizer from the vice mayor.
Wow, that's hard to follow, guys. Okay.
Snakes. Anything to do with snakes?
Throw a snake in
All
there.
right, so, I had started off, I was researching our soil and water quality, which led me to a recent-ish list from 2017 that was showing what they call our impaired waterways. And the Danny Beach Cutoff Canal was actually one of those impaired waterways. It's actually this year, it was for fecal coliform. Yeah, but many of them are, so don't be too grossed out. But they're looking to possibly take it off. So as I was following that trail of finding out what had happened to the Danny Beach Cutoff Canal and talking to the Florida Environmental Group, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and was looking at that. When your city goes on to the impaired body of water list, it's recommended that they adopt an ordinance to change their fertilizer. Right now, we use Monsanto's Roundup. Probably sounds familiar. You see, yeah, you see all those commercials like, if you've been exposed to Roundup, call us. You probably have cancer, something like that. So it's not the greatest kind. And the great news is that right now there's so many different alternatives besides Roundup that are effective that a lot of other cities are switching to. So because it's a statute, Florida Statute 403.067, which I have a copy of for everyone if they want to read it, that we follow what's the best practice if your city is ever on a compromised water body list, that I'm looking for consensus to work with, I suppose, public services through the city manager to find out if our current landscaper can move to a non-glyphosate fertilizer, which from what I understand at the preliminary research is likely that if this is a big company that they do offer that option, and that from now on we include the language in our, next time we go out to bid, that's what we want from now on. From now on, we want to use only non-glyphosate fertilizers for the city from here on out. So that's my request.
Commissioner Brandemarty. Uh-oh.
That's not the canal that Al was baptized in, right? Please tell me no.
That was a long time ago.
I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure he's fine by now. That was before the contaminants. Does anybody else have anything?
Do I have consensus to move
Yes.
forward and make our city more healthy?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think so. Number 3 is Airbnb affidavit from Commissioner James.
Yes, I would like to ask, I think Mark and Candido was helping me on this with the city manager. I'm going to ask them to do more speaking than me. As you all can see, my 7-year-old got me sick. But basically, I just want to, especially with the Super Bowl coming up and the amount of Airbnbs that we continue to get, to make sure that we are trying to add a layer of protection to the Airbnbs if we can possibly regulate that. So,
Sure. Mark LaFerrier, Community Development. What we talked to the commissioner about was what some other cities have done. And through the Airbnb registration process, we would also ask for any child offenders to if the Airbnb is within the dimensional requirements of registering, if they're near a school and other places where children are, that they also register and sign an affidavit that they've registered with the police department. So Hallandale wants to do that. Weston does do that. And I think Indian River County does it. So we've got some examples. We've talked to the city attorney about it. We think it'll take a code amendment. And we think we'll be able to have that researched and be able to bring something back within the next 30 to 45 days.
City manager?
Yes, one of the things that I was discussing earlier today with our assistant city manager came from a meeting that we had with Commissioner James, is just continue to keep thinking outside the box. When our chief of police went on Sunday after we spoke to Mr. DeRosa to this Airbnb, The gentleman complied. We told him about the noise ordinance, and he said, well, I'm complying, but the next guy or the next family that's going to be here next week might not even know about this noise ordinance. So we're proposing to put together a small brochure or letter to inform the folks that are going to come and rent these Airbnb what our expectations are. And what are the results or the consequences of not abiding by a noise ordinance that we have in place. So making sure that all these Airbnbs have a list of things
That's what I want.
that are important things that we have passed in our laws and our expectations. Because at the end of the day, the quality of life of our residents, I know how important it is to you. So it's extremely important to us. So we're working on those documents to put together as well.
City manager.
Commissioner Harris?
So would they sign that affidavit when they go to an STR to try to rent it? Would that be mandatory?
And they would have to register with the police.
Okay.
Well, they have to.
But they have to be within a certain proximity
The
to a
dimensional
school?
requirements by state law, yeah.
Because a lot of times when you click on a STR, you don't know how close it is to a school. How would you get the information? Like if it was on
That would be up-
Southeast Fifth Avenue?
The host would have to require that,
And you're
too.
close to, the owners would have to?
The host would. There's
Okay.
always a host with the Airbnb or the
Right,
other
or
vacation
STR, or
rentals.
VRBO, or Red Week, or XYZ.
Commissioner Brandemarty?
Yes, city manager, that's exactly what I want, is what you brought up. And on top of that, please, is there any way that we can force the owner of the property, the owner that's in the tax rolls, right, to put that in a frame as set of rules for his house? Can we do that? Like what she just said about adding it? Can we try to do that?
It's already required, Commissioner, to them to post in every,
The new,
in our ordinance for years, it says the vacation rentals have to post all our rules, which includes,
No, not only our rules, their rules. They should be a part of this. They should just agree and say, this is my phone number, I'm the general manager of this house.
All of that
If you
has
have
to-
a problem, call me.
all of that that's already in our ordinance to do that.
Okay, well then, we got to just enforce it now, don't we?
I want to make sure that we also put it in Spanish and in English. And
Oh,
if we
you
need
got
to
it,
do
that's a given.
Because the folks that we went to see this weekend did not speak English.
I could tell by the music that it was a different nationality, but you should do it anyway.
Yes.
Even in the stores are doing it, clothing stores. They're learning that some people don't really even read in English. So that's a good thing for everybody to do. However, don't go to Italy, and I'll tell you why. In Italy, you will not find one sign in English. If you go to France, you won't find one sign in English. You won't find one sign in English in any other country, and that's what makes America so great. That's my projection.
Is there any other comment?
No, darling.
Okay.
Do I have consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In Israel, they're in English and Hebrew.
Well, I didn't go to Jerusalem yet. I'm Italian.
Okay. Next is commissioner comments. Commissioner Brandemarty.
None. I'm
Commissioner-
tired. I want to go eat.
Commissioner Harris.
That's it.
I had the opportunity last Tuesday to go to the JetBlue opening at Dakota, JetBlue Innovations and Travels Products Center. They built out 20,000 square feet there, and it's a welcome addition to the city of Dania Beach. They have about 75 employees and maybe more after that, but it's really beautiful what they did there. And if it's open to the public, I would recommend that you go, because it's their travel project. So they do the air, they do the hotel, they do the rental cars if you need all that. So shout out to JetBlue when you can get on a nonstop service to LA. The thing that's been coming up a lot lately, maybe there's an app for this, is a master calendar of events that pops up. So, because sometimes there's multiple overlapping events on one day. I mean, we've had that problem before with a lot of scheduled meetings.
Oh, you're right.
It's a lot of other things I can address with the city manager about beautification of neighborhoods and Federal Highway that we talked about before, and sign codes for real estate signs, but we'll wait till another time. But all you people out in the gallery, thanks for sticking around tonight. If I said anything you didn't like, I'm sorry, but I'm glad you're here.
Commissioner James.
No comments for tonight.
Vice Mayor?
Just real quickly, thanks for everyone for sticking around as well. And I was looking at the 8 o'clock advisory for Dorian. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be mostly a rain event. But I think it's still a good reminder that we're now in the start of when things start kicking off. So, go over to Publix, get the things you haven't gotten, and, so you're prepared for the next one and all of that. But other than that, have a great night, everyone.
I was going to actually advise you as well. I just looked at the advisory as well, and it looks like it's heading north, which is good. But we'll know more, obviously, by tomorrow, but keep our fingers crossed, and it'll hopefully go north. And the only other thing I want to say is happy birthday, Ray Sandler. She didn't hear me. Happy birthday, Ray Sandler.
Happy birthday, Ray Sandler.
That's it. Okay. Next thing is appointments. We had the Complete Count Advisory Committee, and we each have 2 appointments. Does anybody want to make their appointments tonight?
I have a question.
Sure.
Can the person work for the city of Dania Beach, or can they not be on?
I don't know.
Can it be an employee or not? Because some of the other boards you can't.
I don't know.
Well, that's going to depend on my appointment. So
I don't think we made that restriction.
No, you did not make that restriction.
Okay.
They have to be a resident of the city, I think is the
So it's they
typical-
have to be a resident, so.
Yeah, for 6 months in advance.
6 months?
That's
It has to be
typical
6
for
months?
all- Well, wait a minute, this is not an advisory board, so
No.
I don't
I
have
don't
the, you don't have the
Sorry.
thing with you. Tom asked.
Come on up.
We don't
Mark
have the
LaFerrier, Community Development.
Committee rules here? What's that? The committee rules for the census committee? The rules? Where it tells you what you have to be a member.
It's,
So is it
You
no
don't have
more?
it, though, is my point.
it's not an advisory committee, it's
Right.
a participatory committee. And so we didn't put any restrictions in it at all. And you don't have to be a resident, but you do need to be a community leader.
Oh, okay.
You need to be someone who's involved with the community, has connections to the community, because remember, the purpose of this Complete Count Committee is to help us get the best count possible in the 2020 U.S. Census, to sort of reach out into the community, make sure people participate in the U.S. Census. So there's not any restrictions in the resolution that you adopted. It would just be like best practices as to how the city conducts these types of committees,
Okay.
as to whether or not it needs to be an employee or
Okay.
or a resident. It doesn't need to be a resident. It said that in the resolution.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Brandamari?
Yeah, if anybody has an opening on the Marine Advisory Board, I need one.
I believe Commissioner Harris is going to have one, because Joe's going to resign. Yes?
So in Joe's place, I'll put Pat Ferrante, who wants to serve.
He hasn't officially resigned, but you have to
Well,
do
I
it in
mean,
writing,
we
I
have,
believe.
we have a second. I mean, we have a number 2 if we need him, an alternate. I don't have anybody for the census yet, so next meeting.
I don't have anybody for the census, but if there's any senior wants to volunteer to go and take the census, let me know. Of course,
I have
watch
two
out for
people
what
on
Danny
question.
said, though. They might not let you in the door. That's what's scaring me.
I had some people in mind, but I want to go back and talk to them now, given that clarification.
Well, can I ask for
Yes,
more
go ahead.
direction?
Go ahead.
When we sign someone up for this, how often are they going to meet? What are they going to be doing exactly? Because I don't want to sign someone up and then they have to meet 3 times a week and they're cussing me out.
Again, Mark LaFerrier, Community Development. This is not the census takers.
What is it?
This is for people that work in the community, that know the community, that understand the community, that might reach out to the community to provide information about the U.S. Census, how important it is, maybe meet at church, or there's some community organization, just so that there's good information about the census that's at the grassroots level. It's not the census taker. The census, U.S. Census Bureau is hiring people to be a census taker. That's not what we're doing here. And they'll probably meet once or twice a month at most, starting in probably the end of September, running through March.
So can I ask a question? Can we come back with something like more structured and say maybe they're going to meet on the second Thursday of the month, or something that we can take to them, and so they'll have a schedule? Because I don't know anyone that's just going to volunteer and then say, oh, I'll play it by ear.
I thought, it makes sense, that does make sense. I thought, my understanding, and I could be totally wrong on this, but my understanding was that whoever ends up on this committee, they will kind of decide when is the best time for them to meet. And so they're the ones who are actually going to make up their minds. Now, I could be wrong.
It's not like a normal advisory board
Yeah.
that the city has.
Right.
You would appoint people, and then we would conduct the first meeting, and then we would ask people, when is the best time to meet? Also, there would be some assistance from Broward County. A lot of the collateral material that's going to be used in this committee will actually come from Broward County because we're a small city. The larger cities have access directly to U.S. Census where we do not. So it's a more loosely structured group than what we're accustomed to. So the idea is that you appoint people to it, and then staff will meet with your appointees, and then we'll begin to be able to establish sort of what the meeting schedule is, their activities. We'll be able to support them in their efforts, provide them the collateral material, the education, the information, and probably I don't see it meeting more than once or twice a month at most.
And question, if it turns out that somebody starts to do it and they're not comfortable with it, or they feel like they're not going to be able to meet the commitment, we can replace them?
Yeah.
If they want to be replaced?
Yeah, sure. And it's not going to be a situation where there has to be a quorum or anything like that. But it's a short-lived effort, and it's not something that's going to be long, arduous meetings or something that's done in Robert's Rules of Order or anything like that.
Commissioner Brandemar?
Yeah, well, I went to the class on it and with the mayor, and that isn't exactly how it was portrayed to us by the lady in charge of the census taking.
That's kind of how I took it, though.
It's sort of like, and it isn't. They gave us the impression that we were supposed to go home, make the committees. And somebody asked if they're paid, and they said something regarding the county. What is it, Bill?
It's volunteer.
That's
Yeah,
the census
I think
takers.
that's the
The
census
takers are
yeah,
paid.
That's
Census
different.
takers
That's
are
different.
paid, right?
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I re-
are one?
Yeah.
Oh, but
Census takers are.
I didn't know that they then meet with staff, and so
Yeah.
there's
It's
not
different.
only one, huh?
It's different. It's not
Yeah, it
census
wasn't
takers.
the way it was explained to us.
This is
It's all
community
right.
this is community outreach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So why don't we come back the next meeting? We
Yeah,
can
I
talk to
think
the
we
people that
need
we were
some
thinking
more
about and figure out what we're doing then?
Okay.
Okay, okay.
I'm glad.
What I'll do is I'll prepare some information that you can have when you talk to people. That way you'll be able to explain it and give them some information about it.
And Mark, they also brought out the fact that when we do the census, that we aren't going to be able to include the homeless because we don't know what corner they're on all the time. And no, it really went into things, and not only that, you can't include in the census the Airbnb people because you don't know who they are and or where they're from, and that's what they were pointing out at the League of Cities, and that's too bad.
You have to live here 6 months and 1 day out of the year, was my
Right.
understanding. So, okay. Done with that then? We'll move that to the next meeting. Administrative reports, city manager?
Wait, do I have to make a motion to approve nothing that was?
Do we have to?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot
I make
about
a
that.
motion to approve the appointments.
To the Marine
Second.
Advisory. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Okay. Administrative reports, city manager.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I have some really good news to report. So within the first couple of weeks that I started working, we realized that we really had a challenge in regards to our response time, in regards to EMS, emergency. First we looked at Station 1, we looked at Station 17, and we were meeting with our fire chief, Chief Fernandez. Long story short, at Daniel Point, we had already established that we were going to get a substation for police, but we had not negotiated, not even asked to see if we can get a substation for fire. Long story short, after several meetings and negotiations, going with our new district chief, going to the city of Miami, we were able to negotiate a substation for also EMS that's going to include 2 trucks, and that comes at no cost to the city. The initial investment by Kimco is $500,000. In perpetuity, this is going to be several millions of dollars, but more than anything, we're going to be a safer city, and we're going to be able to be a more responsive city when it comes to emergency medical services. So we are looking at completion date of the fall of next year. So by the fall of next year, we'll be able to have a substation there. Again, another negotiation with Broward County Fire and the Sheriff's Office. We've been able to secure a brand-new truck. We won't have to pay anything until next fiscal year, but we will be getting the truck next month. And we look forward to having a really nice celebration. This truck now will allow us to save fuel because we won't be able to have to run our fire truck when we don't need it. So again, I want to thank our new district fire chief. It's been nonstop since he joined us on board. Another piece of good information that I have to report is we have just received a $1.8 million grant from FEMA to harden our city hall. Great work by some of the individuals that used to work here before that are now back with us again. We're also working on another grant of the hardening of our fire station number 1. First thing tomorrow morning, we have a very early conference call in regards to this tropical storm Dorian. We believe that it's falling apart, but one of the things that we did initially was put together our emergency operations team that's being led by our assistant city manager, who brings a wealth of experience with that. So we're ready to go in regards to dealing with anything that comes our way, storms or any other natural disaster. We've been working with all the departments. We started to work on our pier and our boardwalk. You can access my full report online, but it's basically just wanted to communicate the great work that is happening in all the city departments. I couldn't do it without the great team that we've been able to assemble. Thank you.
Commissioner Brandon Marty. City Manager, you've accomplished a great thing with especially out at the Point, and I thank you. Now, can you help me get Popeyes opened?
We are here to help you and help our residents with anything.
Anything, really. I mean it, because I think if you go there, they might move. They might move either out of the city or move to get that place built.
You got it. Those are my matching orders.
Thank you.
Commissioner James.
Well, the way those Popeyes lines have been the past few days for that chicken sandwich, don't open until next month or something. I wanted to ask about this new truck, or the truck that you were able to get. Does that mean we're retiring the old one, or is this an additional truck?
The old one will be used as a spare. So basically, we'll have a brand new truck, and we'll have another truck as a spare, plus
is it
another
fire
truck.
or EMT?
EMS.
EMS, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so the conversation that we had about trying to get an additional EMS unit, this isn't it, but this is still a good save for an older truck.
Absolutely, Commissioner, and our goal would be to have 2 more emergency EMS trucks once the Dania Point location is open as well, because they've also given a space for 2 EMS trucks.
No, but I was speaking about like what we had spoke about up here when we said we needed another staffed truck. So does this satisfy that need or no?
Well, the goal is a multi-pronged approach to this. Once the new station is open, we will be able to house a whole team there with 2 trucks. What we're doing now is replacing a truck that had a $40,000 cost for an engine, but also had excessive miles. So what we were doing is we were running the fire truck. Now the fire truck will only be run when we have a fire. So we'll be saving money on that, but we have, when we'll present the budget to you, a capital project plan that has a multi-year purchase of a multitude of vehicles, including the staff for those vehicles as well.
Okay, so this is not included?
No.
Okay, because I was just trying to say, like, when we had the discussion and saying that we wanted to have an additional EMS, this doesn't satisfy that, but you definitely saved the city a lot of money on a new fire truck, but, huh?
Right?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I know, on a new fire truck. Okay, we can discuss the rest. I just wanted to make sure that the two weren't the same.
Understood, thank you.
City Attorney.
I think you've all seen that the pool rebar placed immediately to the west of the city is finally closed and cleaned out, which has been a long, painstaking approach. You know, with the code people and Mark and myself, we pursued these people to hound them to get out of here, which they have finally done. They've relocated north of the airport. We now have to be careful that when they relocate something else in there, that they completely comply with all the codes, that we're not going to get away with what they've done here for years. They also have accrued about $400,000 in fines that are going to the code magistrate in October. So we'll keep you apprised. Thank you.
City Clerk reminders?
One question, please. Can we buy that property, Mayor?
I don't know.
It's FEC Railway, they will not part with it. It's very, they have these properties up and down the coast from Jacksonville to the bottom of the peninsula, and they hold on to them religiously in the FEC. They're all FEC Railway Company, yeah. They won't let that go.
City Clerk.
Upcoming meetings, tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., you have a commission budget workshop that will be held in the Northwest Conference Room.
Wait, I have 10 o'clock.
No, 10:30.
I'm going to be stuck in a meeting more likely than not, so.
I didn't get any email about any change.
I got an email.
Yes, we did.
No, I didn't.
No, not you.
Yeah, I had sent an email out yesterday, and we discovered today that the commission group listing had
Right.
an issue with it.
Tamara and I
so
weren't
it's
getting the
true.
group messages,
Commissioner
so I don't know
James and
anything about any 10 o'clock.
Vice Mayor Odman,
10:30?
you were not included.
It was pushed to
and I apologize.
10:30.
Okay. It's good to know at 10 o'clock at night. So how long is the meeting?
However long we need.
Till 12.
Well, no, not till it's over. If it's starting 30 minutes later, I'm not, because I didn't just find about it till now, I'm not staying all day.
When was it booked for, do you remember? 10 to 12?
Bill, don't start with me.
We never had this,
We were anticipating at least, 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours. Depends on you and the questions you have.
Oh, there's a lot of questions on that.
All right, so
Certainly.
did
That's
anything
an
else
option.
change? Any other meetings
No,
change?
just that one.
10:30? There's only one thing I care about, it's my schedule, so it's the only thing that can make me mad. So tomorrow, it's at 10:30. Did any other meetings change?
No, not the upcoming.
Thank
The only
you.
other,
If it goes past 12, we'll have to
Your next CRA
reconvene.
board meeting is September 10 at 5:30, followed by a city commission regular meeting at 7 p.m. That's all I have.
Okay, that's it? Then we're adjourned.
Wow. Wow. We're not going to stay past 12, right? I don't think so. Better, huh?
Yeah, right? I think I'm okay with it.
Who needs a psychiatrist? Why?